pressure continues to be nominal.
Alright, the chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside, SCE off. Say again, SCE off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another NASA Spaceflight live stream. You are looking at Starbase, Texas, and Booster 7 on the orbital launch mount. Don't worry about ship 24 over there. It's okay. Don't worry about ship. We're looking at Booster 7 today. We are expecting or hoping for, basically, well, you guessed it, a static fire. There was an overpressure notice delivered to Mary as per tradition, and so we are standing by. Given that the orbital launch mount vent has started, which signifies the testing flow could be, in progress right now. So I am Jack Beyer, your humble host for today, or at least for now. Joining you live from Kennedy Space Center. I'm looking at SLS right now, which is quite surreal, but we're not going to talk about SLS quite so much on this stream, although if you have questions, feel free to ask away. We're going to be talking about a different Artemis rocket, of course, Starship. So, hoping for a booster static fire today. I feel like it's been quite a while since the last one, so always good to see some engine testing and some ground support equipment testing. So hopefully that is what we get today. But it's not just me that's going to be flapping my gums. I am joined by our ever-competent cohort of co-hosts, and, of course, that starts with Mr. Adrian Bile. Adrian, how are you doing on this fine day?
I'm doing always fantastic when there is activity on a tank farm. That's just my baseline. I'm doing bad if no tank farm activity. I'm doing good if tank farm activity. I'm simple as that. So, doing great.
You're a simple man, and there's nothing wrong with that. Tank farm good, no tank farm bad. Got it. All right, I'll add that to my notes. Next up on the roster for today, Das, do we have you, or are you just hanging out?
Oh, Jack, you always have me. I'm always around.
Oh, I just melted. I'm a squishy pile of butter.
I'm always here for you.
Of course, that is the voice of Das. Thank you for being around, buddy. And out in the field, thank you for being out in the field, Mr. Nick and Sweeney.
Well, thank you, Jack. Thanks to you, I'm standing in a nicely mowed field. But yes, I am in the field.
Oh my God! Don't even start with the mowing. Oh wow. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, do not forget we do our usual interactive sort of thing here. You can just at NASASpaceflight in chat ask your question. It'll pop up in some software that Michael wrote, and we'll be able to riff on whatever you are asking us, give you some answers, maybe joke about bacon. You know the deal. You're all familiar with the plan. If you're not familiar with the plan, welcome to NASA Spaceflight. We are not NASA. We are a very dedicated group of people who cover all things spaceflight, especially Starship, and especially anything that's new, interesting, testing, or what have you. So here we are. Let's get into it with some questions. But as I add some to the queue and get them ready to go, who wants to kind of give us an overview and like state of play for where things are at?
I would love to.
Go ahead. Go for it, Nick.
We're building play. I'm going to go. We are currently waiting for a Booster 7 to possibly do a static fire today. We did get an alert notice to Mary, and we got the notice to Seaman that they could be doing an overpressure event, which would mean that we are looking towards a road closure and full-on static fire. So the road has been closed. The road was closed about at 9 o'clock, I believe, ish. So they have gotten us all out of here. And we are looking at a very frosty and active tank farm as we are awaiting, I guess, fueling, right, Adrian?
Yeah, right now we are in this preconditioning state where the tank farm gets ready for the cryogenic to flow into the booster, but this is not fueling yet, as fueling is usually indicated by this significant packed vent to stop. It usually goes into this huge waterfall mode before it stops, but we are not even at the waterfall mode yet. We are getting ready here. We are seeing the tank farm getting preconditioned, getting cooled, and getting into the right conditions for fueling. So that's what we are looking at right now.
All right. Well, we're getting ready for fueling. Like you said, that is, what we want to see as we move into the testing flow here. Let's see. Right off the bat, Musical Wolves with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Musical Wolves. Musical Wolves is asking, spin prime then static fire or static fire first? We could get really philosophical here if we wanted to and say, what is a spin prime if not an aborted static fire? So maybe they go for a static fire and it ends up being a spin prime. You never know. It's like, when is a launch a wet dress rehearsal? Or when is a launch scrub a wet dress rehearsal? Something. When the rocket's orange.
Sorry.
They get oranger and oranger as the days go by.
It's true. All right, we're already coming out with some spice on this one, which is good. It's going to be a good stream.
So the spin primes are the boarded static fires we made along the way?
Stop it.
Okay,
Demigod,
Wedge.
Demigod Dragoness is asking, what's your % chance for a successful SLS launch on Wednesday? I'm just going to get that one out of the way right off the bat. Thank you for the support, Demigod Dragoness. I'm getting a double thumbs up. Keep doing that. No, keep doing it. I gotta take a photo. So I'm next to Sawyer and Chris, and they are obnoxiously positive right now. So we're gonna hope for 100% chance of SLS successful launch on Wednesday. Which, I think we all want to see progress in spaceflight, whether it's Starship or SLS or whatever other new company and new rocket that is out there. We all want to live in the future where humans are a spacefaring society. So. All hope there goes for a successful test flight. And Liam McBlain, sorry. I channeled my inner Simpsons fan for a second there. Liam McBlain, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. At Capcom level and above of our membership program, you get Discord access. So pop into Discord, Liam, and say hey. All right, cool. As we wait for the OLM vent to stop and fueling to start, which is, I guess, the next milestone that we would be expecting, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Thank
Right,
you.
Adrian? I'm just going to say yes because I'm pretty sure.
He's
But
probably
Adrian
talking while muted.
He probably is,
Oh.
but he is the master of spreadsheets. So,
Basically,
But yeah,
next thing up. Go ahead.
Yeah, next thing. So it depends how high detail we want to go here. I still would look at the methane the methane subcoolers, which are not super active as of now. We can see them there. They're not in total super frost mode yet. That would be probably happening before that. Then the big pet vent would go into this waterfall mode, where it just is pouring a lot of liquids and gas out of the vent. And after that would stop, and we would be in a prop load. That is the flow we are looking at right now.
Got it. All right, let's get into some questions and what have you. Right off the bat, I want to clarify. A lot of people are saying they do spin primes without the siren for when they do a static fire, they do it the 10-minute siren. When they do a spin prime, there's no siren. That totally makes sense. I was mostly joking around. You don't have to take me quite so seriously. But you're right. There's no siren for spin prime tests. That said, sometimes there have historically been static fires where we either did not hear or they're just straight up kind of hedged with these things. Starbase is the Wild West of rocketry in a lot of ways, and things can change or just be different from instance to instance. Let's see here. Thank you, Tyler, for pointing that out. Spin prime are never aborts, no siren. There you go. It's a joke. It's like it was a square, a rectangle. All right. Anyways, questions. Farmer Joe, this one I'll send to you, Adrian. Farmer Joe is asking, what is the thrust today?
Apparently free. I think that's. I feel like it's in my contract to say that the thrust is free. If I recall correctly.
Congratulations.
The thrust is 3. I like that.
Yeah, that's an old callback from like old Starship streams. But realistically, we don't know how many engines they're going to fire today. The spin prime from the other day certainly looked like a lot of engines, so maybe we'll see a significant subset of Raptors light up if they in fact get to a static fire today.
Like the common expectation is like between 10 and 20-ish somewhere, which I would agree with, but no way to know where. that would end.
Yes,
Indeed.
and as we're looking towards getting a fully flight certified Booster 7 and Ship 24, there are a lot of tests that we are waiting for them to complete, and looking forward to them completing. This is the next test in the path. There, we got all of the smaller engine tests done and a bunch of cryo tests, and at this point we're looking at Booster 7 to do a mid-sized engine test with somewhere between 10 and 20 engines being tested, so somewhere in there. And we're also going to be looking forward to them doing a 33 engine static fire at some point, likely after they do one or maybe more than one of these smaller engine tests. And after that, we're looking at a full wet dress rehearsal, and then hopefully, we'll get orbital.
Hopefully. That's what we all want to see, right? Let's see. Micah Westman, thank you for the support there, buddy. I'm sorry you're not feeling great. GRX70, thank you for the support. Spectacular success of the DART mission. Do you think Starship would be considered to deflect an asteroid? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Imagine they just like fill the nose cone section of a Starship with like tungsten or something. It's like something super dense and just blast an entire Starship into an asteroid. That would be amazing.
I mean, at that point, I'm not sure. Like, I would love to know what is better, to accelerate it faster or to have more mass, because I bet there's like somewhere a sweet spot. My God, in there where you would think about just accelerating a bigger chunk of metal, and use like some sort of third propulsion stage that just makes it even faster before impact. But yes, I want bigger blocks into asteroids.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about mass either. It's a lot of the kinetic energy that's imparted is based on the speed of the impactor too, right? Somebody talk for a minute.
Well, I can always talk about this beautiful view of the booster that we have. Look at that. It just switched. Oh, well. Well, I'll talk about this view of the booster. Hey, wow, look at that even better view. Wow, we just are getting switched around. Thank you, Kevin, for switching up the views. We appreciate you in the back, making the buttons push and the photons flow correctly. But this is Booster 7 next to the orbital tank farm, and as we can see there, those are nitrogen subcoolers, right? Are getting a little bit venti and have some activity, and it looks like on the other side of it, we can also see the methane subcoolers being active. And
this is LOX, I think.
Oh, is that LOX on that side?
Yeah, it's LOX and nitrogen. So basically, this can be used for both commodities apparently, because they also need to subcool LOX. So this might be the LOX side, but I always found it like very confusing, this whole tank farm, because I feel like with the suborbital tank farm we had a pretty good view because there was not that much going on. We had like 3 or 4 vents and we could all understand them. Here it's getting more. And it's always with this view I found it very deceiving about the size as well. Like I sometimes I envy you, Nick, because you get a way better sense of scale for this than me, because you were there before, I heard.
Well, I have been. I mean, that camera had to get there. Let's put it that way. We don't have drone deployable cameras yet. DOS is working on it. But
airdropped.
But it just, from the 10,000-foot TFR, we parachute them in.
We parachute them in.
No, but yeah. Actually, honestly, Adrian, I kind of envy you a lot. You've taken the time. It's something just I haven't done. I haven't taken the time to learn what all of this stuff is, and so sometimes I'm staring at stuff, and I just stare blankly at some plumbing and be like, "Huh, I bet you that's really important." And you're like, "Well, yes, actually, that's the methane subcooler." But
and
yes.
that's how we complement each other, right?
Exactly. It's a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. And Jack is here to talk about bacon. So
Nick takes a photo, and then Adrian says, "Oh, that's a turbo encabulator." And then Alex is like, "Oh, there's 7 turbo encabulators for each side of the orbital tank farm." And then we talk about how they have Novatrunnions, and all is well in the world.
Yes, and the girdle spring. Don't forget about the girdle spring.
Yes, and the transverse Marsal veins. Sorry,
Gotta love the Marsal veins.
Super important.
Wes Irvin, thank you for the support there. Nice and generous of you. They say, "What's up, NASA Spaceflight? I am resisting the urge to do a what's up, but I guess I just did that. So now you all have to call somebody and make that same horrible noise at them, and then it creates a chain, and then we all buy whatever merchandise that was an ad for at some time." Moving on.
Can I call you Jack?
Yes, but I won't answer because I'm on stream.
I'm still gonna call you.
Tracy gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much, Tracy. If you got a membership from Tracy, be sure you are actually calling me. Stop that. What is wrong with you, sir?
Well, you said to call your friend, and I only have one of them, so sorry.
You could call Coop. Oh, shush. Let's see here. Thank you so much, Tracy, for gifting the memberships. The membership program is absolutely integral to doing what we do. We could not do what we do without the membership program. It's a monthly pledge that you can sign up for to support us at various levels, and at the different levels of support, you get different sweet perks. At Capcom level and above, you get Discord access. There's like members-only emoji. I'm going to throw several starships into chat because I can do that, and Nightbot can't stop me. But yeah, membership program, super cool. Thank you for gifting the memberships because now 5 people that otherwise would not have had it have it and can check out all those cool perks. Similarly, Dean Brillhart, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships as well. Dare I say, Dean, that is quite Brill of you. I'm channeling my inner Crispy. Because they say Brill instead of brilliant because they're British. All right, questions? How about we do questions?
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. I don't know. This might be too technical, but somebody might know the answer. Andy Skibba is asking us, what is our favorite bacon-based sandwich? I'm gonna go with a turkey bacon, like a turkey bacon Swiss. Something about turkey and bacon go way too well together. It's like a match made in heaven. Adrian, favorite bacon-based sandwich? Go.
Oh, I hoped I never would get a question about bacon because now I have to admit I'm not that big of a fan of bacon.
Oh my gosh!
I don't even.
The truth comes out.
We can't.
Exposed.
I always hoped that I would never get a question about this.
You should have just dodged it. You should have just said, "Oh, look, there's some interesting venting happening. Let's pay attention to that."
Yeah. Adrian, wow.
Well, Jack, I have an answer for you.
Please, like we just had a shot. We need the chaser.
We did. Okay, so the chaser is I was at Chili's a couple days ago having dinner with my buddy Chief.
Yep. Oh, did we just lose you?
Is that the joke?
That's a fantastic joke.
Wow.
Well, while we wait to get Nick back, I do want to thank Bob Hobb. Good old Bob Hobb. Bacon? Something about bacon.
We have a bacon burger at a... Hello?
You there?
Wow, that was a big
Sorry.
lag.
Hey, am I back?
You're back.
What the heck happened there?
I don't know, are you?
Dos, can you check that out?
Yeah, I'll have a look.
The network gods heard smack talk in regards to bacon and decided to, penalize us.
That is accurate. Well, anyway, they had a burger listed as the bacon burger, but when it listed the ingredients, it said bacon, cheese, pickles, and all the like regular burger stuff, but it didn't say a beef patty. And so, in my mind, I was imagining a stack of bacon instead of a patty. And I feel like that burger needs to exist. Just a bacon burger, which is just a stack of bacon. Jack, thoughts?
I'm on board. 100% sold. Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I would like to subscribe to your newsletter. But yes, Bob Hobb with a $300 super chat.
What?
And you know what Bob Hobb said,
Wow.
Nick? You know what Bob Hobb said with their $300 super chat? They said, #Nick fan club. The other guys aren't bad either.
Well, I'd have to say the other guys are pretty good, actually.
Holy cow, Bob Hobb.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Such a huge supporter of everything we do for so long, and constantly coming in with these insane, huge amounts of support. So I don't want to derail us too far. Not that we've had rails at all on this stream so far, but seriously, Robert, thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts. You know that we are going to do our best to continue to bring you the very best coverage we can, whether it's Starship, SLS, other new rockets, other old rockets, or what have you. I mean, we're just out here cranking away, and that support means the absolute world to us because it means we can keep doing something we love, which is sharing this stuff with all of you. I mean, how do you even properly express your thanks for something like that? Absolutely, thank you so much, Robert. Mask Dingo, gifted 5 red team memberships. Thank you, Mask Dingo, for that. A lot of support on this stream. Thank you so much, everybody. Justin Roth Media became a Capcom member, so you get Discord access, Justin. Don't forget, any member that comes in on this stream or any stream or ever as Capcom and above, you get Discord access. So don't forget about that. That's like one of the coolest perks I think that we offer. Guarav Yoshi, sorry if I'm butchering your name, I almost certainly am. Thank you for the support. They say, in this orbital flight, Ship 24 will land or nope? ? I mean, we need to like go back to the Socratic method and like, what is landing?
Yeah,
landing.
I would always say like there's the landing and then the landing you could walk away from, right? So
yes,
or landing you can fly the airplane again.
Yes,
like that's a good landing as well.
But basically, the plan for the orbital test flight is for ship to splash down, I believe, off the coast of Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. And splashdown would be a soft landing, but generally, when a vehicle hits the water, even at a low speed, it's going to incur some damage and potentially even break up, or not. Maybe it'll just sit there and float, and they'll have to like call out the Coast Guard or a destroyer or something to come out and shoot it with a 50 cal a couple times till it sinks. I wonder if that's ever actually happened. Anyways. But yeah, it will land in the ocean with a soft landing, and that will be that. But it's not coming back to the chopsticks. It's not going to be landing on land. There are no legs on Ship 24, so there we go. Stefan with a drone budget super chat. Thank you, Stefan. Dean Carpenter saying, "Howdy, y'all. Do you think they're going to thermally? How do you think they're going to thermally protect the exposed sections around Ship 24's lift points? Love y'all." Spelled YAWL, which I kind of like. Keep up the amazing coverage. Well, with your support, Dean, with Bob Hub support, with everybody's support, we'll keep it up. How are they going to protect the exposed sections around Ship 24's lifting points? I've always kind of in my head felt like they would like take the lifting points off and tile it over, or just leave them, and they're robust enough to survive re-entry. Based on what we just said, Ship 24 is not going to need to be caught after it's launched, so I guess in theory they could just leave them there to partially ablate. I have no idea. What do you guys think, starting with Adrian?
I would imagine that they would patch them before the flight. I mean, we don't know, but so far in every render and everything we have seen from SpaceX, there was not like lifting points on Starship at the top. So I would imagine that they would get rid of them at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing as the attach points on the nose cone when they lift ship, like on a suborbital pad or what have you. They take those attach points off before flight. I don't know of any reason why they wouldn't be able to take off the 2 lifting nubs for the chopsticks, although maybe they're like structural and they're not the kind of thing that can be removed. I don't think we've gotten any kind of info or answer about that at any point, unless, Nick, I've completely missed something and you're like chomping at the bit to correct me.
Yeah, I'm super chomping at the bit just because I love correcting you, but not because I know anything about lifting points.
Sorry, update.
Go ahead.
The OLM vent has changed a lot. And we see, and just as I said, it goes back again to the old, but we have just seen a pour of venting from the OLM vent, so there's things progressing. Doesn't look like a holding thing anymore, and like you can see difference now in the OLM vent and how it changes over time. So I would very carefully label this a good thing.
Well, when you say something's a good thing, it is indeed a good thing.
I'm sorry that I interrupted that monologue, by the way.
No, I'm glad you did, because I was running out of things to talk about.
No, thank you. I was dealing with something here on my end, but I'm back. I super wonder how the lift points will be handled. It's kind of just one of those things we'll have to wait and see.
Yes.
Let's see here. Croshtron is asking us a question relating to the forward plan after this test. They're saying, is a full stack static fire going to happen prior to the orbital test? Wasn't there like a NASA document or something that came out in the recent stays, and it kind of laid out the entire forward plan. Let's see. I'm like scrolling rapidly through this here, trying to find because it's here we go.
Yeah, right now the remaining path to flight would not lay out that. I have it open if you want. I can quickly recap.
Yeah, it says Booster 7 completed 1 engine, 3 engine, and 7 engine static fire tests. Completed a 33 engine spin prime test after incorporating repairs and corrective actions from July 11 high energy event, also known as the detonation that occurred when they destroyed that poor white tube. RIP White Tube 2022, never forget. And it says stacked vehicle, conducted LOX and methane, single species prop system test and destacked. And the remaining path to flight is Booster 7 and 24 restacking, additional single species prop system testing, which would mean, you load only LOX or you load only methane. They're load tests, basically. Additional destacked static fire tests, including Booster 7 33 engine test, wet dress rehearsals, and FAA license processing in work. But yes, you just heard me say, including Booster 7 33 engine test after additional destacked static fire tests. So to me, that would mean they're going to do a 33 engine test without the ship stacked on it. That does not preclude them stacking the ship for an additional 33 engine test, but that's not laid out in this NASA document. Adrian, is there anything you want to add there? Go for it.
No, I agree with everything you just said, and I have nothing smart to say.
Yeah, this is a super cool document. I'm going to link it in chat here. It was just nice to get a little bit of color in terms of what we can, what to expect coming up. That's not speculation. It's like it's from the horse's mouth. Horse reference. It's from the horse's mouth, and we're not inferring, we're not guessing. We know based on this document. And I just linked it in chat. I'll link it again in case you missed it. Oh, Chris B's here. I summoned him by saying the word horse. Which
it's either horse or shuttle, right?
Yes. Horse, shuttle, bacon. That's like the password to get into the NASA Spaceflight.
Hey, shh! Don't tell everyone our password.
Well, I guess now we have to change the password. Darn it! What have I done?
We can do bacon, horse, shuttle.
Ooh,
just
yeah.
change the order.
Or we can do like horse kid. I'm abort. Abort.
Okay. No abort here.
Yeah, don't just say that word on the stream.
Also, I just want to point out, because from time to time I want to update on the stream. Do you remember when I talked about waterfall mode on the OLM?
Yes.
This
is waterfall mode.
Yeah, this looks very much like waterfall mode. This is really the pad going strong. You can see it on the right side here, how it produces this huge plume of condensation. And the next thing would be that this stops. And once that stops, we are into propellant loading.
Excellent.
Look at the LOX subcoolers there.
They're going ham, yeah, look at that. And normally that condensation is kind of blown towards these cameras, and now it's kind of getting blown the opposite direction as it normally would, which is interesting. All right, let's see here. Speaking of cameras, Andrew M. is asking, which cam is your favorite? Nick, since you're out there and since you deal with them so much, I'm going to throw this question to you first.
Well, since these cameras are now sentient, I should probably say my favorite camera is the one I'm closest to, which is River Cam, because if I say anything else, they might look at me weird, and I wouldn't want that to happen. But my favorite camera is actually probably the van camera, because it's providing us the best view. That's not the van cam. There's the van cam. Just in general. I mean, that view's just of the chapsticks, which is not the most interesting view. But that's my favorite camera.
All right, then. Adrian, what's your favorite?
South. Because it shows a lot of vents right now. And in general, it's very good to track indicators. So I really like South.
I will also agree with you. I like South. This angle is kind of, it's like the beauty shot. Good question, Andrew. Let's move on to some more questions. Charlie Cushing asks, how much weight does cryofrost add at liftoff? We get this question a surprising amount, and I think the answer we always generally come to is it's a negligible amount. There is weight there, but most of it breaks off under the vibration and stress of initial launch and falls off, and what stays is essentially a rounding error in terms of the weight and mass of the vehicle itself. Any disagreements there? Is that a fair
Well,
estimation?
while I wouldn't want to move all of that ice in a wheelbarrow,
No.
for a rocket, it is not a lot of ice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. I always remember it's like one of those space factoids that you get to know as a space nerd, that the first couple shuttle launches, shuttle reference, that had the external tank painted white, when they stopped doing that, they saved like 500 pounds of mass or some insane amount of mass just in paint. So it's a logical question to ask about the ice, but unlike paint, the ice does not stick and will generally fall off. And unlike with shuttle, where foam and ice liberation was a potential problem because of a side-mounted crew vehicle, thankfully that is not an issue with Starship because it's all a single stack. Adrian B. German is asking...
Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Is asking, what do you think of Tom Cruise going to the ISS for his new movie and going on a spacewalk? Short answer is anything that gets people excited about space is a good thing in my book. Anybody have other reaction to this question?
I think I mean there was this effect with the with the first Top Gun movie, right, where people got interested about that topic because the movie really like became mainstream. So I always hope that like these kind of mainstream pushes help to popularize like space more in the public eye and maybe point out some cool things space does.
Absolutely. Nick?
I'm sorry, I was frantically typing. What was the question?
What do you think of Tom Cruise going to the ISS?
Yes.
The movie and spacewalk.
You know, as my favorite movie of the year so far, Top Gun Maverick has shown, I think Tom Cruise will pull off a pretty good movie. Since I really like fighter jets, and I really liked Tom Cruise in fighter jets, it was a great movie. And as much as I love fighter jets, I do like rockets a lot more. So I think that has the potential to be my favorite movie of all time. So go Tom Cruise, and hey, if you need a director of photography or a photographer, or if there's anything I can help with, Tom, you have my number. Just give me a call.
He has your number?
No.
Let's see here.
I will give you my number, Tom, though, just to be clear.
Bradley is asking, do we have any idea when they're adding tower cladding?
Ooh, you know what? That is a good point. I think it'll be in the daily next time we do a daily. Chris had pointed out to me this morning.
I think it might have been the one that went out this morning.
Or was there one that went out this morning? There was a small piece of black steel that was mounted on the tower, which we believe is the first bit of cladding going on the tower. So, tower confirmed black ?
That's what it sounds like, right?
I mean, unless they're going to paint it once it's up there, which I doubt. You can actually see there from south. So let's keep it on this view for a second. So you got the orbital launch tower. On the right side of the orbital launch tower, there's the 3 posts that we can see there. On the right post at the very bottom, right above the concrete, there's a black mast. And it's on the opposite side of the tower. But that is the first panel that we've noticed of cladding going up.
That will look so cool.
It sure will. I hope they get some LED lights on it. That'll be cool.
Please God, no, not more lights. What's wrong with you? There's so much. Go ahead.
I'm with Nick here. Sorry, Jack. I love RGB lights. Just
please
give me like, yes, please.
Please.
We can do like a whole LED board of like do like advertisements. I mean, hey,
just go like full Blade Runner, and each side of the tower is its own billboard.
Exactly.
Like, one of them just like a giant scrolling Twitter feed. Oh God, let's please stop.
Yeah,
this.
You could put Elon's Twitter feed up on the tower. That'd be perfect.
Moving right along.
Moving
right along.
Though. Definitely needs to be dark mode.
I'm told that we have a new Starship article that is pinned in the comments. So if you want to read sort of a play-by-play of where we're at in the flow and kind of update yourself as to the sort of the state of things at the moment, feel free to check out that article. You're obviously watching a stream right now, but open it up, put it in another tab, and give that a read when you get a chance. Definitely super informative, and it's a good information-packed article. Let's Let's see here. I'm sure the sea turtles would love more lighting, more RGB lighting. Moving on. Will Starlink V2 be launched on Falcon 9 with a modified fairing due to Starship delays? Asks Timothy Wood. I believe Elon said they're going to, if there are enough delays to necessitate this, they will just make mini Starlink V2s. I think is the answer there. So it'll be not necessarily the Starlink V2 that will fly on Starship, but a Starlink derived from that is small enough to fit inside the standard Falcon 9 fairing. If I'm not mistaken, that is the plan. Does anybody disagree with that, or am I missing something, or forget about something?
As far as I know, that is the plan. But Chris K actually this week, or I guess last week, did catch a bunch of Starlink 2s stacked up in the payload integration building. So there's a good possibility that they have at least some momentum in manufacturing these Starlink 2s. So I would imagine they're probably incentivized to just stick with the Starlink 2s instead of having to invent Starlink 1.5s or whatever the heck they call them.
Yeah, mini V2 seems like it would be a pain to have to engineer when really, ideally, all you do is you keep making the standard V2s and you actually are able to launch them with Starship. But and super cool find by Chris, by the way. Good job, Chris K, on snagging that. That was in another daily video we put out in the last week or two. So be sure to check that out if you missed it. Super cool stuff. Curiously, though, hasn't SpaceX sort of been... I mean, for example, the Starlink dispenser door on Ship 24 was welded over. So
Ship 24 is definitely not going to have a Starlink payload. Ship 24, its current orbital trajectory, I believe, is just a few meters a second short of a full orbital velocity. So given nothing, it will still re-enter the atmosphere over Hawaii. I don't specifically know why they stopped the payload plan for Ship 24, but if I had to guess, I would imagine it's because they can't get them out in time and then get the orbits raised on the Starlinks fast enough to not burn up in the atmosphere following the Starship as it re-enters.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of questions regarding that when when we've been talking about this mission profile previously. We're sort of like, was there enough time for the satellites to raise their own orbit, or would they actually overshoot with Starship and then do some kind of thruster firings to back it back down to a suborbital trajectory, just a few meters short like you're talking about? I guess now that they've welded over the door, kind of seals the deal on that. There will not be any Starlinks attempted to be deployed on Ship 24. Question, though, is what about 25, 26, 27, etc.? What have we seen in terms of the payload doors for those? I know on 25 it was looking mighty nice. Like it looked like a newer, more refined variant of what we saw on Ship 24's door.
Yes. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No.
Oh my gosh. Too late. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, basically, I think 26 is the one that is ruled out for now. That is the one that does not look to have a payload door. But 25, 27, and 28 could be the case. And also, I just want to add here, this always all depends if the current design is deemed successful after the orbital launch. Because that could always be the situation that they find something during the first orbital launch that would prevent them from flying these few Starships and then skip a lot. We have seen them skip a lot of Starships and a lot of designs in the past where they learned something after a test and went like, yeah, well, just go straight to 31 or something. Yep. And I just want to point it out always to set expectations, because it is based on what we have seen so far in the Starship history, not likely that they will fly everything in order and will even fly everything that is in the order, and they might skip some of these.
Yeah,
because
totally.
That's what has happened in the past.
There's famously no 12, 13, or 14. There was a 16, but it didn't fly. There was only parts for 17, 18, and 19. They built 20. Did they build 21?
21 is standing up in the rocket garden right now, right?
What about 22? That one is also, or did they destroy 22?
Oh no! Oh man, I was the only one who knew this for a while.
I thought the rocket garden was 15, 20, and 22.
That's probably right. That sounds right. So 21 got scrapped then.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the the state of play there. So, point being, they have skipped around in the numbers. I mean, they flew Starship SN11 and then they flew Starship SN15. Like it's not linear. So we'll just have to sort of wait and see. Starship 26
yes.
not having a payload door almost makes me start to wonder, tanker variant, or like what is the rationale there? Or maybe not even a tanker variant, but just a simpler Starship that's going to be used for on-orbit propellant transfer testing, or something along those lines, or some other reason that I haven't thought of. So that's very interesting that 26 does not have the door, but yeah, there you go. That's everything you wanted to know and more about the payload door situation.
Likely just more than you wanted to know.
Correct. Musical Wolves, thank you for the support. They say, how fast can a raptor cook bacon? Somebody do the math and get back to us on that. I'm not a mathonomer. Doc Watson, thank you for the support. They say, this is for gifting whoever you are. For the gifting, whoever you are. And has boron been used as an alloy in the rocket engine nozzle? Oh, they must have gotten a gifted membership. I don't know about boron. That's I know nobody does it like molten boron, which is a Futurama joke that no one will get, except for like Steve or maybe Chris K or Chris B. Actually, Chris G. I can't talk. Somebody else talk. Boron?
I have no idea. I mean, I know boron is like whatever they used to haul out of the salt mines or something way back in the 1850s, but I don't know anything about boron and rockets. So, Adrian.
No, I have to. I have to pass if it was used on any kind of
yeah, I just
alloy.
don't think we know.
Yeah,
well,
sorry.
We might risk the conversation here getting a little boron, so let's move on.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
You see what I did there?
Yeah. Hey, Adrian, is this more venting in clouds than we've seen recently?
It's this could also be the case that the wind just kind of stopped a bit, so it's less blowing it away. But I also think if we look at it, that the subcoolers from methane are on. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, they look kind of. Oh yeah, they're on. You can see them blowing now. This with force, this nitrogen with force out.
Oh
and so they are apparently also on. We are progressing here. We are 100% progressing here, and really the next thing will be the OLM vent to stop and prop loading to begin. This is getting close.
Alex in our back channel is saying that's methane loading. So yeah,
Yippee
or in the past it has been an indicator of methane loading. So we're moving ahead in the flow here, and we are getting ready for some prop loading, which we will see is indicated when that vent that is 180 degrees opposed to this camera from this view will shut off, and we'll see that vent stop, and we'll know things are getting really real.
They're getting a little frosty. Ha.
Haha. Stay frosty, everybody. Sprognut Animations, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. You guys have heard my spiel about the Capcom membership and the membership program in general. I'll spare you on this time. Everybody gets one. But thank you for becoming a Capcom member there, buddy. Stephen Churchill, they say bacon therapy for Adrian. Thank you for the support, Stephen. I don't know if Adrian would like that. That might be like a Clockwork Orange kind of situation where we have to like pry his mouth out. Anyways, Aaron Wolf, thank you for the support. They say, any idea why they did no a hop test was super heavy like Starship? I think the answer there is there's not quite enough info for them to learn. I mean, they did SN5, they did SN6, they did Starhopper, they did this.
Did the OLM vent stop?
It stopped.
Yeah. We are into LOX loading.
Woohoo!
Excellent. All right. So now the next thing we're going to look for is the vehicle to start to get frosty, which is awesome because once it's frosty, then they can get fiery. First frost, then fire. But yeah, it wasn't worth their time, basically, Aaron. Alan, thank you for the support. They say hi from Ireland, glass of wine and a static fire, Alan and Sarah. Hey, Alan and Sarah. Thank you for the support there. Wow, Ireland, that's super cool. Hey, that reminds me, sorry chat mods, but if you're watching from somewhere around the world, which I guess you have to be, throw in chat where you're watching from. I always like to see where people are watching our streams from. So, but thank you, Alan. Hope your glass of wine is excellent. Silly String Parfait Wow, what a name. They say, do we know how long Wednesday's SLS window is? It's 120 minutes or 2 hours. Starting at 1:04 a.m. Eastern. Nathan, yeah, it's the whole thing. Oh, look at all everyone's saying where they're from. Germany, England, North Wales, St. Louis, London, the Netherlands, Sweden, Massachusetts, Germany, Washington, New Zealand again, Florida, Indiana, Cambridge, Starbase, Texas, says Chris K.
I was trying to do that. You beat me to it, Chris.
Oh, man. Wisconsin, France, Holland, Austria, Poland. A lot of Netherlands. North Carolina. Very cool. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in around the world. And thank you for all the support, because your support allows us to bring this stuff to people around the world.
Oh, Jack?
Yes, I see that. Do you want to take that? Go for it.
No, I was more about... we missed a joke earlier.
What was the joke?
Remember when somebody asked about if boron was used in a rocket nozzle?
Yes.
Boron is the fifth element.
That's hilarious.
We missed that.
That's hilarious. Well, actually, no. I would tell you what the fifth element actually is, but then I would ruin the movie. So I'm just going to move on. Not that you'll ever watch it, but you know. Nathan Beisman, thank you for the support. They say, what's the distance to cook perfect marshmallows? I assume you mean on the static fire. That? I don't know. What do you think?
That's a good question. There's a fine line between being too close, where your marshmallow just gets toasted and just disintegrated, and then there's too far away, where the static fire only lasts for a few seconds. So you definitely do need to be close enough to where you get enough toast. Like you need a good toast to non-toast ratio on your marshmallow. It'd actually help if you had like a little spinning stick that you could get both sides of the marshmallow during the 3-second static fire, or however long it's going to be. So yeah, I feel like that's something we need to ask SpaceX about. This should be an official answer.
Eric in chat says, Nick, if you can research where that fine line is, that'd be great.
I will get back with you.
And where did that go? And Jim
I'll
Cabot,
probably stick my camera there too.
Jim Cabot in chat says, 33 engines, the proper distance to roast a marshmallow is 5 miles, which I find quite hilarious. David Lane, thanks for the support. They say, I brought bacon. Excellent. Is it oven bacon? Because that is the superior form of bacon. Thank you for bringing bacon. And the support. Robbie Bradley, thank you so much. They say, hey, y'all, do you think that they will possibly attempt the flip and try to mock a landing when they do a splashdown with the orbital test? Thanks for the stream. Let's light some of this candle. Indeed. I think the plan is for a soft splashdown, so whatever that ends up meaning, that sounds like they would do a flip and burn to me, but who knows? Martine Lode, or Lode, thank you so much for the support. They say, any chance of Starship Christmas tree deck being made for your shop? I would love to get one to go along my shuttle. I'm not quite sure. Well, I'll send this to the shop people and see if they understand.
Like ornaments?
Yeah, I'm not. I think. Oh, decorations must be what they're talking about. That would be cool.
We have Christmas stuff coming for the shop. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Adrian. Dune Dim, thank you for the support. They say, you guys excited for KSP2 multiplayer streams? ? I am definitely excited. I think we're all excited for it, and I would do a multiplayer KSP stream, even just for members. That would be sweet.
Yeah, I would be in there.
I'll join.
Keenan, becoming a Capcom member. Thank you, Capcom. Or thank you. Oh my God, my brain. Thank you, Keenan. You get Discord access with Capcom membership. So hop into Discord and say, hey, Smooth Juice with a super chat. Thank you, Smooth Juice. They say, evening, guys. If Ship 24 survives a water landing, do you think it would come back to Starbase? Don't forget the like button, peeps. I don't think it would. I think they would just sink it in the water. What do you guys think? If it survives the water landing, do you think they would try and recover it?
I would think no, because that would be a huge undertaking to get a splashdown hardware from all over there. Because, I mean, it would be in the Pacific, right?
Yes.
So you would either need to recover it somewhere on the West Coast and then ship it all the way over to Starbase or something. Or you would need to, like, tuck it all the way through the Panama Canal to the East Coast, which sounds also very, very labor intensive for a hardware you probably will never use again. So I think they will sink it.
Jack, do you have your tinfoil hat handy? Because you need to put it on for this.
I always have my tinfoil hat. I mean, they could totally get a ship like Mighty Servant or something, like a semi-submersible transport ship, to like scoot under it if it's floating, and then lift it up, and then just haul it back through the channel to the port of Brownsville.
No, Jack, even better. So they get that semi-submersible ship to bring it upright, and then you can test the SSTO or the point-to-point capabilities of a single Starship, and just light that sucker and fly it the rest of the way home.
What could go wrong?
I hate to interrupt this, but we have some more updates because the engine chill pipe on the orbital launch pad is frosty.
Oh yeah,
you can see it here.
We just lost the view that had it. Oh no, right there. You're talking about the vent on like that white pipe, which is white now because of frost, that is sort of on the bottom side of the disk of the orbital launch mount itself.
Yes, so this means part of the engine chill has begun. So they are definitely progressing in this test. We might talk about the test very soon. Like, at this point, the next thing would probably almost be the siren.
Wow. Okay, so we could be getting very close. I sort of expected more frost on the booster at this point, but as we've talked about many times on all of our streams, the fact of the matter is they are able to load an amount of propellant into the vehicle, essentially where, if you think of the aft dome and the common dome as big bowls, they can fill those bowls with propellant to the extent that they have enough for a static fire, but they don't have quite so much to make the walls of the vehicle itself frosty, because there's no cryogenic propellant on touching the walls. It's all just contained within the domes itself. I sort of expected frost for this test, given that we're expecting a higher number of engines, but as with Starship and Super Heavy, everything is more than you thought, including including the amount of propellant that's contained within a single ring, which is a hilariously high number of tons. So it seems like we're progressing into a static fire test, which is exactly what we want to see today. All ears out now for the siren. Super exciting. You know what else is exciting? We have merch, and you can help support what we do with merch. We've got a new Starship hoodie design. I love it. It kind of gives me like a Texas vibe and a Starship vibe at the same time. Big fan. So it's getting cold out there. We're coming into the winter. It's November. If you need a hoodie, check out our hoodies. We've got a couple different designs. This new Starship one is super duper cool. Like I said, it kind of gives me a Texas, Starbase, Starship vibe sort of all at once. So just going to point that out. If you want to help support what we do, if you want to help bring our coverage to people around the world like we try to do every time there's something interesting going on, check out the merch store. Find something you like. Maybe it's a hoodie, maybe it's a metal print, maybe it's a calendar. We have calendars. So just check out the merch store. Consider buying something. If you see something you like, you want something physical to show your support for what we do, you don't have to just hit the like button. You don't have to just subscribe or do the super chats or what have you. You can get something physical with the merch store. So check it out. We really appreciate your consideration there. Oh, and there's the calendars. There's 2 different calendars. Buy one or buy both. You get a discount if you get both. All right. Moving on. Get them both.
We have frost.
I'm looking for. Oh yeah, look at that frost.
We have frost on the booster on the LOX tank.
Excellent. So, part of the reason why they would load a limited amount of propellant in the vehicle for a test like this is because if anything is, shall we say, off nominal, then you're limiting the amount of reactive agents that could potentially catastrophically combine for bad things to happen. So there you have it. Limited amount of propellant, but hopefully a large number of engines.
Also, the ground engine chill vent is going. You can see it on the right camera, right below the tower. You can see there that's one of the pipes that is related to the engine chill vent as well. And there it goes. So all good signs, all is progressing well. We are getting closer to a potential static fire test of Booster 7.
Excellent. That is exactly what we want to hear and see. I'm like jazzed. I don't know. Chat can probably tell. I have had no caffeine today, and yet I am like riding the excitement wave here because we have not had a static fire of a booster in quite a while, and it's always an exciting thing when we have new milestones. So you gotta love a milestone, especially in a program as dynamic and as exciting and as, I mean, shall I say, unpredictable as Starship. Honestly, this could be a big moment. And look at that frost go; it's climbing fast.
Yeah, they are there into. I always like now. I will steal this from SLS. They are into fast fill. And,
Nice. Is it Kindler
mean-
and Gentler fast fill, or is it just regular like grouchy fast fill?
I feel it's like grouchy fast fill.
if people haven't been watching or paying attention to SLS, they have no idea what we're talking about. Cool. Well, now we listen for the siren and hope that we get ears on it. So, Nick, if you hear anything, feel free to interrupt and jump in.
So actually, I'm going to go join Chris K at the hearing sirens place, and we will. I will hop back on the live stream after this potential static fire event, and we'll see you all a little bit later. Thanks for having me, guys.
We'll see you on the flip, buddy. Take it easy. So I guess in Nick's stead, we're gonna need some kind of super cool person to jump in and help us commentate while we get closer and closer and closer to static fire. Is there anybody that could possibly do that? I'm not sure we have anyone.
I hear you stalling for time. You stalling for time.
Oh, okay. I don't hear you in my headset. Do we have?
No, he's wrong channel.
Stand by. So yeah, if only we had someone, ready to go and swap in for Nick, that would be great. Let's see if somebody magically appears here shortly. I'm just kidding around. We do have Sawyer here ready to swap in momentarily. Sawyer, you're in the wrong channel. If you hop into CommsNet, you'll be good to go.
I just want to point out that you're like that child that is on the stage for their first magic trick on a talent show. And it's like something's not happening, and you're like, any second now, the rings will disconnect.
Hey, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Good, because I have Verizon, so good to know. Like the old commercials.
Perfect. Oh man, I feel like that just dated us, but is what it is.
We're the old ones. What can we say?
I'm not old.
People are
that
saying
was
you're a little
rude
bit quiet,
to say.
So...
I also don't want to blow people's ears out, but I can definitely go up a bit and see if that is better.
That does sound better to me. Let's see what chat says.
Yep. Hopefully some 5x5s.
All right. Really quickly, I do want to thank a bunch of people who are coming in with the support. It's like we're getting into the... Okay, we're getting 5x5s now, so you're good to go. So I do want to run through some of these while we're waiting for the siren because I don't want them to get too old, and I definitely want to express appreciation. So Michael Tompkins Jr., thank you for the support. They say, is the tank full, and how many engines of static fire will it be today? Like Nick said earlier, we are expecting somewhere between 10 and 20 engines, a large subset, potentially around half of the engines firing up. The tank is not full, super heavy. You can see the frost there on the bottom. It's very limited amount of fuel, but it is fueled right now, and we are sort of in the flow and waiting for the next milestone, which would be the siren. Raymond, thank you for the support. Go for it.
There is another milestone we have not talked about yet, we should point out, because
Please.
we are not worried about talking about the static fire, because we expect that the fire suppression system would turn on before the static fire. So even if the siren is skipped for some reason or not audible for us for some reason, we would see the fire suppression system spooling up before this test, which would help us indicate that it's now time to not talk anymore.
Wait, we'll see what spool up? Sorry, say that again?
A fire suppression system.
Got it. Oh, and look, the orbital launch mount event is going again.
That's good. That's usually an indicator that LOX loading is complete, and that would mean we are entering now the final stage of this countdown. So
Cool.
This is a good sign.
I'm going to steal from SLS just like you did earlier and say we're coming into the terminal count here.
Yeah.
But we can recycle quicker.
Oh, don't jinx it.
We are basically in replenishing mode now.
Oh, LOX topping. My favorite bagel topping. Down Downskated said, "How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? No real question. Just wanted to thank you for what you do." Well, there you go. Downskated. Thanks for the support. Caleb, thank you for the support. How do you see the internet operating once we become multiplanetary? How would light speed latency be tackled? I'm imagining orbital data centers and a lack of live interaction between planets. Yeah, no, that's the horrible fact of physics and the speed of light and the universe and everything, is that there is no magical thought teleportation device like from Ender's Game or something. Like, there's just time delay. There will just be that time delay. So that's just how it goes until we find some sort of crazy wormhole communication device. Moldy Space Industries, thank you for gifting 5 red team memberships. Very much appreciated, Moldy Space. Always love when you're hanging out in streams because I get to make more Futurama references. Gamer Tom, thank you so much, asking, when will the engines fire? Adrian, do we have a estimate of T0 at this point, or are we sort of just winging it and hoping for siren?
Could be as early as like less than 10 minutes from now. We are definitely close. The next thing, really, I'm basically expecting a siren any second now, where people just tell us, "Hey, by the way, there's a siren."
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes and ears open. Thank you, Gamer Tom, for the support. Jim Cavett gifted a red team membership. Thank you, Jim, for all the support on all the streams. See your name pop up so often. Doc Watson, boron is the 5th element. Yep, we got it. Thank you. Skip, thank you for the support. They say, when Stay Frosty merch? That'd be cool. Ninja Decimator, thanks for the support. Adrian, 5th Element Fund. Raymond again, saying, Raymond from Paluso, WA? Is WA Washington?
It is Washington State.
Thank you. Thanks for the stream. Looking forward to not just a 33 engine static fire, but a 33 engine Raptor honk. Can't wait. Hashtag Starship to the stars. It was going to be awesome. I cannot wait for a lot of things regarding that test with 33 engines. William Warren with 1234 with 1234 as a super chat. They say, if you could smell the mock diamonds, would they smell like a fart asking for a friend? No. The methane used for rocket launches and for Starship does not have the mercaptans added that normal, like, natural gas that you might get into your house and your stove. There's a chemical, I think it's called a mercaptan. I could be completely wrong, but it's basically like they sent it so that if there is a leak, you smell it and know to get away and not be exploded. However, that is not a thing for rocket fuel.
On the other hand, probably still a thing.
Yes, definitely a thing there. Elmad, thank you so much for the support. They say, Larry Maddox turns 70 on Thursday. Have Artemis 1 boarding pass. Want to see my name going to the moon on Wednesday. Birthday wish is to live long enough to see Starbase Moonship 1 land on the moon. Well, good luck, Larry Maddox. Super awesome that you are tuning in and excited about this stuff, and I'm sure you've seen some crazy awesome events, spaceflight-wise, happen in your lifetime, and hopefully you get to see a whole bunch more. So thank you for the support there, buddy. Tracy, gifting 5 Red Team memberships again, I think. Thank you so much, Tracy. Very nice of you. Stucco Dude. I wonder if they're like a general contractor that does stucco. Thank you for the support, Stucco Dude. They say, do you think SpaceX would ever do an engine test feeding directly from the umbilical, or do you think it has to be tank-filled and fed? I think it's the latter. It has to be tank-filled and fed. It's a vehicle, not a test stand. Guarav, thank you for the support. They say, cryo clouds, how does smell like? Taco burnt smell. That's hilarious. And Saved by Grace, thanks for becoming a Padret member. All right.
So just as we're getting closer to this potential static fire, one thing that could be a good giveaway of what it's going to be is the fire suppression system. If it only uses the nitrogen, then it's probably going to be similar to a spin prime like we saw on Thursday. But if we do get the full water deluge, then expect some fire.
And as we all know from our cave person brains, fire good, but also fire bad. Oh, I'm so conflicted.
Good for bacon, good for rocket engines.
It's a conflict there right now, right? It's fire good, but touching fire bad, I feel like.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for the clarification, Adrian. That's very critical at this juncture.
Perfectly put.
Let's see here. Travis Cecil in chat is saying methyl mercaptan. That's the thing I thought I knew about, but didn't quite know about, but sort of knew about. So thank you. That's the smelly thing that goes into natural gas. And David Swan is saying propantheol. I don't know if that's true or not, but I just read it in chat, so that makes it true, right?
The internet, of course, is true.
Yeah, but I read it on the internet. It has to be true. We're still waiting for the siren. If you're wondering where we're at, we are basically expecting static fire imminently, but we have not heard the 10-minute siren, so we are standing by. Although we might just not hear it this time. That's always possible.
I just want to point that out. We should not 100% bank on the siren.
Yep. So we're keeping our eyes open. What is the I guess the next indicator other than the siren would be that
we have a siren. We have a siren.
All right, 12:31 is the time of the siren. If it holds to 10 minutes, which it won't necessarily, 12:41 would be the T0. Although it could be any time between now and then, or a little bit after. The siren is not necessarily a 100% deadlocked 10-minute warning, but that is the intention. So that's where we are at. Moments away from a static fire. Thank you everybody for joining us for this stream. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm and your support. We could be coming up on a historic Starship milestone here, something we all want to see, and a little bit of progress towards Starship's orbital test flight. So all smiles here. Definitely exciting. As I look over and take a gander at the Space Launch System rocket on pad 39B, I am humbled and heartened. Heartened? Is that a word? Right? Because there's disheartened. I'm heartened. Because
I've never heard it, but I like it.
Either way, we are progressing into a future where humanity is a spacefaring race, which is awesome. And it's probably going to take a little while still, but hopefully not quite so long, and hopefully we all get to live long enough to see the baby steps that we start to take out into the solar system. Very exciting, and this is a small but important part of that. So once again, thanks everybody for joining us on this one, and thank you for the support. We should do a poll. Does somebody if Chris B, if you're watching, do a poll and say like how many engines do you think it's going to be? I doubt we'll be able to actually tell. Maybe we'll get a tweet or something from SpaceX or Elon saying, you know, successful X number of engines static fire after the event.
Sounded like a good vent there, by the way, too, coming out the engines ahead of this.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, the engines are chilled down as evidenced by that pipe, and we're seeing them do occasional little vents here and there. So vehicle is active and ready to go. And just once again, a reminder that siren might not be precisely at 10 minutes. So it could be any moment now. And as soon as we see that water deluge start up, we're going to shut our mouths and listen to the awesome sound of some number of raptors roar.
Yeah, the siren has been a horrible 10-minute indicator in the past. And it was as late as 4 minutes before T0.
The most common number I'm seeing in chat is 16. And there is a poll now, so if you want to answer the poll, go jump in and answer the poll. Tell us how many engines you think it will be. But here we go. We're getting real close here. Vehicle is fueled. There is frost in the LOX tank. There's LOX in the vehicle. Presumably there's methane as well, although we can't quite see any frost in the tank. But once again, that could just be because a limited amount of methane has been loaded. We have heard a siren. It was a few minutes ago, so just moments away from a static fire test of Super Heavy Booster number 7. I'm jazzed. I'm sorry if I'm talking too fast here, but I am jazzed.
Wait, I gotta change your name them in chat if you're Jazz, not Jack.
Sawyer.
Jazzed buyer.
You just took the wind out of my sails. Go. I'm not
as long as I don't take the methane out of our rocket here, we're good.
Hey, all right. Wind back in sails. Methane back in rocket. But again, potentially moments away from a static fire test of this vehicle for the first time in I don't even know. How long has it been since they did their last static fire with a booster? It's been a couple months, if I'm not mistaken. Unless I'm just completely forgetting here.
The last static fire was on September 19th with static fire 4 on Booster 7. I know that thanks to nextspaceflight.com.
Yeah, shout out to NASASpaceflight and Michael Baylor, the cool guy that develops it. People frequently will ask me, like on Instagram or what have you, like, hey, how do I tell when the launch is going to happen? NASASpaceflight, definitely a great way to keep up on things. Also, a little website called NASASpaceflight, which there is a new Starship article. So if you want to sort of recap in your brain where we're at with everything, check out the Starship article that we just put out today, a couple hours ago, if that. I mean, it was during this stream. So some hot, fresh information there for your neurons to devour.
Speaking of hot and fresh, we might just be minutes away from a static fire here, and I love that segue. Sorry, I was just happy.
I see what you did there. I'm glad you're happy. Happiness.
Thank you.
Again, a reminder: the potential is maybe somewhere between 10 and 20 engines for this one, which is really exciting. I mean, the last one we had was 7, so we're just getting the progressive ramp up and getting that much closer to 33.
Yeah, like with the entire Starship program, it's sort of an incremental, step-by-step, expand the envelope, try a little more, do a little more, slowly, step-by-step. And like you said, the last static fire we saw was 7, and today we are hoping to see a greater number than 7 engines, which would be a big milestone. Once again, that NASA document we were talking about earlier says that they are going to do more static fires with subsets of engines, and says that they are going to do eventually a 33-engine static fire. So, this is kind of all on the track towards the orbital test flight that we've all been waiting so long for. It felt like it was going to happen it's been progressively 2 weeks away for the last year and a half. So definitely excited for another milestone in the Starship program. Check off the box, move on to the next thing, and get this vehicle operational. I think that's what we all want to see, right?
I mean, we had... Absolutely. We had Falcon Heavy last week, and so now we're just up and keeping that thrust going up.
27 engines and now 33 engines, although we're not expecting 33 to fire today, but you never know. You never know.
I'm just staring at this pad. I'm just looking at any early indicator that this deluge or this fire suppression system is firing. I'm just it's my eyes are too close to the I would not recommend to be this close to the monitor I am right now.
This is the Clockwork Orange moment where we have the things that keep our eyes open, and we're just sitting here putting eye drops in our eyes so they don't dry out as we stare unflinchingly at the base of the orbital launch mount, hoping to see any sort of sign of activity.
In the words of the 10th Doctor, don't blink.
Oh man, let's see here. I don't want to do questions. We'll get back to doing questions here when we're not quite so close to a static fire event. But remind me again, when was the siren? Was that at 12:31? If memory serves.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, it was 12:31. So we are approaching 10 minutes. But again, it's basically how we imagine the siren is working. Is the sheriff is called and be like, "Hey, now make the siren," and that could always there is a lot of humans in there, and humans produce errors and timings. So
yeah, I mean, it takes time for them to relay the information to the sheriff. It takes time for the sheriff to execute on that information. I imagine they could call them up and say, "Hey, at 12:25 or whatever, 12:31, do your siren," and that's enough of a warning for it to be relatively accurately conveyed. But there have been times where we've gotten a late siren, we've gotten an early siren, we've gotten a siren and nothing has happened because of presumably an abort. So 10 minutes, it's a guide. But we are rapidly approaching 12:40. So really any moment now, just keep your eyes on the base of that orbital launch mount for that deluge to start up, which, do we know that's going to happen? I know they've been testing it recently, but presumably they would use it, but we don't necessarily know for sure they're going to use it. But
I mean, if they used it on a spin prime, right?
Exactly, they just used it Thursday, so I would assume that they would try it again, and then they've been testing that Fire X a bunch, so...
Yep, that makes sense. 12:40 and 12 seconds coming up on 10 minutes from the siren. Any moment now, we could expect to see those engines fire up.
That's more venting.
Yeah, this is.
I always love these moments. At this point, I'm just sitting here, eyes peeled on the orbital launch mount, hoping we see some good stuff happen.
Yeah, and we're staying kind of quiet in case it does start up very soon.
But I mean, in theory, we should have the deluge system, or at least some warning of that. It's just there's this slight chance that it doesn't appear, but I would basically I would be very surprised if it doesn't. It would be funny if it fires right now without it, because that would be the biggest jinx of my life.
I see the super chats coming in. I see the questions coming in. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Thanks for asking questions. We are just standing by here for static fire, and we'll get to all of that stuff here in a little bit. But thank you so much, everyone, for watching.
And just as it looks right now, this is a very common view we had in previous static fires, where they sometimes are in a very stable hold pattern just before they fire. So this might be a situation where they just hold and check for the final conditions and then get ready. So we have seen this before. This might be very, very similar to exactly what is happening here. As the pad and the situation looks very stable right now, it's not really moving anything. It's just venting and waiting.
Yeah, and we're hearing a lot of that venting too, so far everything looking pretty good right now.
Yeah.
It has been more than 10 minutes since the siren. That is fine. It could just be a little bit of a early siren.
And this is why we say the siren is just an indicator, just like they used to say the yellow line is not official in American football.
I don't get the reference, but I appreciate the effort.
Yeah. In European football, there's something like, it's only a foul if the referee blows the whistle. So it's only a static fire if you see fire, I guess.
I like that one.
If a static fire happens and there's no cameras around, can you hear it or something? I don't know.
Schrödinger's static fire? Well, how are we?
I mean, we have enough robots that I think the answer is always yes.
As more time passes since the siren, we do start to wonder if we're in a hold or what's going on. But clearly, SpaceX was in a posture to attempt a static fire around 10 minutes ago. So, just standing by and waiting to see what happens next.
Basically, what is guaranteed is you will get your ears blown out. It either will be because of the depress vent or the static fire. One of these will happen.
Yeah, all hands on the audio switch on whatever, or the volume rockers on whatever your device you're watching on right now. Be prepared. You have been warned.
There you go. There's your headphone user warning.
God, this is exciting.
Oh, the anticipation now. They're just dragging it out, getting more excited with it.
This is not Dragon, sir. This is Starship. They're not dragging it out.
Stop it. Stop it.
That was great.
No, it was not. You two are not allowed on stream together. I'm going to make this rule right now. What? Oh, I cannot abide. I am sorry, I cannot.
By the way, if you could hear me laughing through that, I was muted while I was laughing, so I'll just how much I'm actually legit LOLing.
Yeah, you got him good, Adrian. You need to know that you got Sawyer good.
I am very happy right now.
Good. I think we're all happy because we're waiting for a static fire with Booster 7, and that could be at any moment now. We could be in a hold. It could be an abort. We don't know. But the thing is there is a road closure today until 8 p.m. local time. So plenty of time in the window. So yeah, if it doesn't happen immediately, we still have time for a recycle if that's what ends up being necessary. It could happen right now as I'm talking. Please go now. Now.
Yeah, we have Schrödinger Starship. It's both ready for static fire and aborted at the same time.
Yeah, just don't open the box, otherwise you might kill a cat.
Jack, you cannot jinx it like that, because the deluge system needs to start first. We will start right now. God damn
it. Now chat just keeps saying now.
Yes, instead of moon, it's now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, we're just sitting here waiting. Increasingly, as more time passes, I'm wondering what's going on, if we're in a hold or what. But definitely
100% in a hold.
Keeping our eyes peeled at this point to see, is the vehicle going to vent and defrost? Are they going to restart the flow here? That engine chill pipe is still frosted. Is the frost on the booster doing anything in terms of going up, going down? Does anyone have eyes on that?
No, it's not moving at all. So that's why I'm 100% confident we are in a hold here. Nothing is really changing, which is usually the best indicator to say, okay, this is a hold.
Got it. I mean, that is the definition of a hold.
Yes.
Word is there's a lot of people out and about the area excited for this as well too in near Starbase.
Come on, do something.
All right, who's gonna start poking it?
Yeah, somebody get a stick.
I don't want to get near it right now, so I wouldn't poke it with a stick.
Then just use the Soyuz swizzle stick. There you go.
That would be, yeah. Any excuse to use the Soyuz stick, I think is a good one. Do I tell this story? I kind of want to tell this story. Chris G had to throw out some trash earlier today, and the instructions he got was take a stick to the dumpster, because if the raccoon family that lives in the dumpster is there, you use the stick to prop open the dumpster and let them get out. I don't know why I felt compelled to share that, but we were talking about sticks, and I just wanted to share that. There you go. You get some behind the scenes from Kennedy Space Center. Be nice to be nice to the raccoon family.
Yeah, the natural Florida wildlife. We are in a wildlife preserve, although I don't know how raccoons qualify.
They qualify. I'm on board. All right. Well, we are apparently holding. Obviously, this is a milestone test, as we were talking about. This is something they have not done before, so it makes sense that they might have run into something that they didn't quite like, and they're assessing the data that they have before either moving ahead or detanking or calling it for the day. But we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. This is some classic Texas tank watching here. I mean, we've got a frosty tank. It may or may not produce flames at any point in the next 7 hours. So yeah, this is Texas tank watching. This is what y'all signed up for. So here we are. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah. And that is the important thing to remember, is that the road closure does go until 8 p.m. Central Time. So if it doesn't happen right now, no, I tried. Then we still have time.
I mean, it could happen right now, or right.
You cannot say it every 3 seconds.
Yeah, that joke is getting old fast, but I still like it. You know what?
Yeah,
while we're waiting for this hold to be resolved, I'm going to run through some super chats because they are getting pretty stale, and I do want to express our support to everybody that has come out and shared a little bit of their hard-earned cash to help us do what we do. Wigan Creative, thank you so much. They say, never forget the enemy's gate is down, Bacon Army. I don't get the reference. I'm a failure. But I do like the Bacon Army.
What?
Yeah, the gate is down? What is it, Das? Tell me.
It's even Wigan in the name. You need to read more books, Jack.
Oh, is that Ender's Game? Is this Ender's Game? I made an Ender's Game reference earlier with the whole Ansible telecommunications thing. Oh, I'm a failure.
Yeah,
I need to reread it.
Down. Nothing and no one will ever save you, Jack. I'm out. Bye.
All right, something Giants Cup or whatever. I forget the Wizards Cup. It's been a while since I've read it. Ron Smith says, give me fuel, give me fire. Thank you, Ron, for the support there. Matt Weaver, thank you. They say sulfur is what smells, not the methane in a fart. Yes, but in methane for rockets, it is not sulfur. It is the mercaptans, or whatever. I forget the fancy word we were using earlier.
The methyl per captain, I think it was, or methyl captain, something like that.
Yeah, not to be confused with the other methyl captain, Walter White. I make bad jokes. I'm sorry. Chad, thank you for the support. They say, give me bacon, give me fire. Static fire is what I desire. Way to go, Chad. You just made me say a limerick about bacon. George, they say, I believe the technical term for how fast a raptor would cook bacon is, quote, near real time. Instant bacon.
Ooh, I like that.
We just had a vent from the vehicle. I heard it. I didn't see it. Where was that?
It was on the side, it appears. Side vent of the orbital launch mount.
Oh, deluge!
There you have it.
That was a lot.
That was
Wow.
certainly the largest number of engines we've seen static fired on a booster so far. That was amazing, and it seemed like a fairly long duration firing as well.
Yeah.
Success.
And it's standing.
Still standing. Orbital
There.
launch mount is still there.
That's a
Excellent.
large plume from that. Wow, the dust it kicked up.
That was a lot of engines, 100%. That looked so full of force.
Michael Baylor tweeting that pending official confirmation, SpaceX likely just conducted the most powerful rocket engine firing in company history. If that was a large enough number of Raptors firing, then that could have been the most powerful firing that SpaceX has ever conducted, which is a cool observation on his part. I now kind of want to go back and rewatch over and over again and try and determine how many engines fired, but it's kind of hard to say given that deluge is active. Holy cow.
Also interesting to see the orbital launch mount still looks pretty good after that fire, so it looks like the fire suppression system, the FireX and everything is doing really well with the upgrades.
All right, with that, I am going to run off and edit a rapid turnaround video of this with some slow-mo and multiple angles and stuff. We'll throw that up on the YouTube channel. We'll let you know, because the stream will likely still be live by the time that is on the channel. But I'm going to jump off to get that done. In the meantime, I will leave you in the competent hosting hands of Mr. Sawyer, and replacing me will be Alex. Alex, welcome to the stream. Also, goodbye. Shuttle horses bacon.
To feel. Yeah, bacon. I can fill you in with that. Wow,
Right.
that was quite a test, Sawyer.
Wow, yeah, that was an absolutely unbelievable test. It's definitely more than last time, which has only been 7 up until now. So it'll be interesting once we get the official confirmation of how many of those actually fired. I mean,
And look at the OLM. It's still standing. It's charred, but it's still there.
It's
I
kind
mean,
of
the
crispy.
paint team's gonna have some work.
Yeah. Like some intern that painted it 2 days ago was like, "Oh, come on."
I know, seriously. But that dust cloud, as was just pointed out in our back channel, with how big that cloud was, it was taller than the entire stack and everything. So you're talking more than 300 feet up for that.
Yeah, it was taller than the tower. I saw. That reminded me of a recent live stream we had. There was a question, and the question was will the dust cloud kicked up by the booster, engulf the whole rocket? I guess we have an answer there.
Yes.
It will likely engulf the whole rocket.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say now, and that wasn't even the full. Likely wasn't the full 33 engines there.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh
Wow.
man.
Oh boy! All right, compose myself here. You get super excited by that.
Yeah,
I
that was worth the wait. Wow.
I just cannot stop smiling because we've been waiting for higher engine of test firings for Booster 7 for so long, and we're finally there, and things are going well. We actually have a vehicle still standing after the static fire test, and I mean that to me is already a big win.
Yeah, it didn't look like something was off. It didn't look like something went flying or something, which is very good sign with increasing engine static fires. This looked, dare I say it, very clean and very routine almost. And I love that because that's what you want to have after such a test. No surprises. Just it looks good.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to talk about the sound of those Raptor 2s. Once those lit and fired up, oh, that sound was amazing. Sorry, I know I'm just kind of rocket fanning over here, but still. All right. Well, while we are working on getting some of those replays and taking a look at everything, we can take a look at some super chats and answer some more of your questions. Don't forget, you can always tag us at NASASpaceflight if you have those questions, and we will try and answer as many as we can. Yep, there is the deep press. Let that play out.
And we have... Oh. Forgot we have venting as well. Yeah, I was about to mention Elon's reply, but I'm not sure if they're even hearing us.
So loud, we cannot talk.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe now?
Maybe? Would be nice.
Yeah. So we got confirmation from Elon that it was 14 engines.
Yep. Yes, Elon replying to the NASA spaceflight tweet, we can confirm 14 engines, double what we saw in the previous static fire back in September.
That's a lot of engines. And also this booster is now getting saved from what it went through and just, basically making sure that everything and the detanking goes nice and dandy.
Exactly. So I know this seems kind of like an obvious question, but I know Marcus asked this. I've seen a few of this in chat. Are there potentials for any more tests after this, or what is next from here?
I would say, like, the chance is not zero, but I would call it pretty low. I'm not sure if you agree with me, Alex, there, but I mean, they just fired the most amount of engines they ever did. And I would imagine that this maybe warrants some people going to the pad and having a look at this booster before firing again.
Yeah. I mean, there's still plenty of action to happen, so don't go away yet. There's still a lot still to see here. All right. While we're seeing this depress and the vehicle safing, we'll go through a couple super chats here. Alan, thank you very much for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Really appreciate that. And anyone who's gotten a gifted membership during this stream, please definitely say thank you to whoever you got them from. Rankley, getting jazzed for the moon. I like that one. Thomas Bitcoin Crab with "The dream is alive," quoting John Young, and it's definitely true that as we progress onwards towards the moon and Mars, especially with Starship, the dream is alive. Sock Eating Golden with a shout out to the Next Spaceflight app for the static fire imminent notification, which, yes, it is a fantastic app that will give you those updates and will remind you to join us over here at NASA Spaceflight to see them. Question from Hill Street Blues here. I'd love to watch a static fire, but I live 7 hours from Boca. Are there any signs that one is coming a few days ahead? And from my understanding, it all just comes down to those overpressure notices, correct? Right.
Sorry,
Adrian and Alex.
can you repeat that question?
Sorry. Yeah. That there's... Are there any signs that a static fire is incoming a few days ahead? From my understanding, it's just the overpressure notices.
Well, the overpressure notices, usually Mary gets these like a day before. So not even that. Like, you can get these information bulletins, the MISIPs, basically indicate that a NOTMAR might be coming. These get issued a few days of time, but they also get issued when we just get spin prime testing. So I wouldn't say you can predict a few days ahead. Actually, the only indication that this is a static fire, like the moment we knew that was a static fire, was the siren. Because up until that point, it could have been a spin prime test. So you only know for sure like minutes before.
Yes. Let's see. Chazzy Mac asking about the potential for the multi-static fires, kind of like they do in McGregor, which, again, it's maybe possible in the future, but not quite sure today. And don't forget, we have McGregor Live, so you can check out whenever those static fires happen over there. It's an update again. We do have that tweet from Elon confirming to NASASpaceflight that it was 14 engines that were fired during that test, which is still unbelievable. So there it is. Yes.
And just to confirm that again, that is the most thrust that SpaceX has ever produced on a rocket, right?
Yeah, it's equivalent to 37 Merlin 1D engines for reference. So 10 more Merlin engines than Falcon Heavy.
That's nearing Saturn V thrust at that rate. You're getting close to, I believe, almost at, if not above, Saturn V thrust levels with that, which is unbelievable.
I think it will be sort of more like shuttle levels, but it's very close to Saturn V levels of thrust. Yeah, you will probably need 16 or 17 engines.
I mean, that's talking two moon vehicles here, so yeah.
Mm.
And I think it will break the record for the most thrust ever produced at like 21, 22, somewhere around that. Like, I think that's the level where it would surpass the N1 for most thrust ever produced by a rocket engine.
Wow. That, again, just the power of all this is unbelievable. So this is actually a very fantastic super tweet here from the Paintball Guy. You may remember last stream he had mentioned that he would do $10 for every engine as promised. So that is $140 for that giant engine fire. So thank you very much for that extremely generous donation. That money will not go to waste and goes to help bring you guys this fantastic content. And E4 Tango with the same thing at $1 per successfully fired engine onwards and upwards. And I do have to shout out here to Kenji Fox as well with the great line, 14 engines fired. Will they file for unemployment now? So just have to give a quick shout out. But, I mean, if they do file for unemployment, they can always, I'm sure, find another job and, I don't know, maybe have some cool gear that they can wear as they're going to their next job interview. That was a terrible segue, but a segue nonetheless to the fact that we have some fantastic merch in the shop for Starship here. There it is, the Destination hoodies. Hopefully I'm not too robotic and you guys can still hear, because this design is really cool. The fact that it has both of the destinations of this
A little bit
vehicle.
robotic there, Sawyer, yeah.
All right. Not sure why, but if nothing else, hopefully you can see the fantastic drawing there of that on the hoodie, and then you've got the Moon and Mars, the two destinations for this rocket. So the destination hoodies are really cool, and if you liked the kind of embroidered design that we had for the Falcon Heavy design, then you're really going to like these too. And if you're not in the mood for clothes, you can always keep track of what's going on with your own NASA spaceflight calendar as well. We have two of those, in fact. One that is entirely dedicated just to all the things going on down at Starbase. And we also have a second one that includes all of the different rockets and vehicles that NASA Spaceflight is happy to go out and cover for you. So, I mean, the amazing work that our photography team does is just on full display here. These are unbelievable. So, all of those are available at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. And we can also blame Jack if I'm still a robot, just saying.
Yeah, you might have a leak somewhere, so you need to do an SLS and fix the leak.
Oh,
I'm sorry. It's a low-hanging fruit. But yeah, I really like the fire suppression system with this test, because, as I said before, it's not only cool from a, hey, it looks cool perspective, it's also very cool from a, we are commentators, and we are sitting here for hours to watch these, and it's really cool to get a warning when you need to stop talking kind of perspective. Because, yeah, we don't want to talk about these static fire tests, and of course with other rocket launches such as Falcon 9, for example, or Atlas, we have a countdown. We know when something will happen. And with these, it's a bit more in the air. So having like these last second indicators, yeah, thanks SpaceX for that. And
It's really nice.
I really like it. I'm really happy that they used it for static fire from a very egoistic perspective.
One thing that
Yes.
I noticed just right before the deluge system came on, I actually said it on the back channels, and you guys said, "Oh, there was a vent," and I was like, "I'm talking about the side vent on the other." I was trying to type fast, but I knew like the test was coming on, so I was super nervous right there. I was trying to, like, I was so close to just joining and yelling that it was coming on, but yeah, that was another thing that we spotted during the spin prime test in the summer, and like also the static fire test and so on. And I just saw it and it was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna come just in 30 seconds. It's usually that time, in 30 seconds or so, that it takes from that vent to the test. And so I was super nervous trying to tell you guys, hey, there's also this other thing just right before the deluge came on.
Yes.
Hopefully you can hear me a little bit better, because I want to bring in Nick and Sweeney, who's back joining us from the field. Nick, we got to know, how was it?
It was pretty good, I'd say. That was definitely the biggest fireball I've ever seen in person. Like, that was big. I haven't actually caught up with all the back channel stuff. I was frantically trying to get some pictures posted. Did our camera survive?
Yeah, looks good so far.
Good. Yep. So that was a beautiful static fire, and I noticed Elon there tweeted that we have confirmation it was a 14-engine static fire. So that's exciting. Any other details and revelation? I'm still getting plugged back into the backside here. Anything else I missed?
I'm right now thinking about, would the last Saturn V flight be the last time that this amount of thrust was generated on the Earth?
It's,
I mean, non-nuclear blast, probably.
I mean, it dwarfed Falcon Heavy. So,
was there any N1 firings after Apollo 17? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's like my... And also, what's like Energia had 32,000 kilonewton. Like this is very interesting. Yeah, let's.
I think this is the thrust of Energia or something like that. It's 3,220 tons of thrust, metric tons, by the way.
So this would be more, right?
I actually haven't checked the proper numbers. But if you give me 5 minutes, I can look it up for you.
That would be super interesting, because if this is the case, we might just witness, and which is very cool, I think, for Nick, because he was kind of closer to this. You might have just witnessed the most amount of thrust ever created by humanity since the Saturn V.
That is really cool. Oh my gosh, the Saturn V getting beat finally. Only took us like 60 years.
It might be very close. We will. Alex will verify now, but
we're verifying. But at least soon, you know, this rocket at some point should overcome the thrust records of the Falcon or the Saturn V, not the Saturn.
Well,
what's
it's
the Falcon
not more than Saturn V. It's not more than the Saturn V that I can tell. I knew it was 16 to 17 engines for that.
I do just want to bring something up here. We saw it a little bit on that other camera view. Hopefully I'm not too staticky, but it looks like there's some kind of smoke in the area there. You can kind of see it. That doesn't appear to be venting. I mean, we can see the frost line going down, but anyone else noticing that?
Wait, where?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some small fire nearby.
Yeah, kind of at the bottom of the OLM there. You see it going across every now and then. We'll keep an eye on that, see if there was any possible grass fires during that. Because I know Musical Wolves came in with the super chat earlier saying, no grass fires, smiley face. We'll have to see if that's still the case.
Yes, please, no grass fires.
Yes. Want to go through a few more of these super chats as well. Philip Yulee was talking about the anticipation, which we appreciate that. And a little reference there, stretch on crikey. I'm gonna poke it with a stick. Which, apologies for my horrendous accent there. Fat Bob mentioning Earth's orbit has now likely changed because of that.
I don't know.
thrust.
I mean, I guess everything, even standing up and down, could change Earth's orbit just immeasurably so.
Oh yeah. Skip also pointing out with that plume, I can't believe it was only 14 engines. 33 is going to be totally bonkers.
Yeah,
Could
like
not agree more.
This is not even like, just process this. This is not even half the thrust of this booster.
That's crazy.
Like this, I still need like I feel like I need some time to fully comprehend that. But this is not even half.
That's
right.
so cool.
And then the other question that I've been seeing in chat is, would they possibly do throttle back on these, or is that a full engine thrust there on these tests?
That's a great question. I believe the way that they actually do that is they spool up the engines and confirm that the initial throttle, like the initial thrust, is okay, and then they spool it up to full throttle. Because it doesn't make sense, at least to me, that you just test them under throttle all the way, especially in a 10-second burn. If you go back and check the length of this burn, it was 10 seconds. So, and especially in the 33 engine static fire test, as I've said before, you cannot cheat physics. You cannot cheat by saying, oh, we're gonna ignite the engines, one way or the other, and then it actually doesn't have all the engines ignited at the same time at once at some point in the fire. That doesn't count as a 33 engine static fire test, even if you ignite all 33, because you didn't have them at the same time running. The same way that if you intend to have all engines during launch at 100% throttle, it's kind of cheating that you test them under throttled. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
gosh.
It's a little bit like that.
Oh man, that's gonna be so exciting.
That's gonna be just mind-blowing. I'm currently, trying to get all those numbers and things like that. It is sort of in the same kind of thrust range as Energia. It's a little bit less than Energia, but right now it's probably the most comparable one. I'm still trying to find more numbers here.
So when it comes to math with these, I trust Alex big time with all of this math.
So then I have to correct here and say to Nick, it's only the most powerful rocket firing probably since Energia.
Oh, well, I'm just gonna go home then because this wasn't cool.
Yeah, like
Jacob,
it's
was
suddenly
amazing.
way less cool, right?
Oh yeah, 0 out of 10. Terrible.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you've seen anything about it, but I've been hearing that there may be some concrete that's kind of gone flying onto the roadways.
Ooh. Well, we'll have to go investigate that fully a little bit later.
Yeah, can you bring me back a souvenir?
I don't know if we can do that, but I will pass it up the chain.
Worth a try.
But like, I mean, even if there's some concrete down there that is maybe a bit damaged, I would call this the fact that we see no obvious indications of damage and no obvious indications of like fire. I would call this a very, I would say at least mild surprise for me. I was expecting like some sort of issues that would appear on bigger static fires, and yeah, I'm still surprised this went so clean.
I'm gonna be very honest with you. I was kind of expecting like the camera to just go off. It went off on one of the 6-engine static fire tests that we saw recently on the ship. So it was kind of amazing that we actually got it back. That it was on all the time. So that alone to me is just impressive already. that it was well. That the connection was on all the time and everything. I guess it's probably a pat in the back for that, and obviously for those that deploy the cameras. I guess.
Oh, absolutely! For everyone who's keep feeding those robots, they're feeding them well because they were sturdy enough to take it.
They ate their vegetables.
We talked earlier about the stream about the potential of airdropping these in the future, just like a drone. I had like these strategy games in my mind where you just like confirm where an airdrop is coming, and you like have this crossfade for that. That's what I had in my mind for deploying cameras.
But yeah, also shout out to DOS for maintaining that, and Kevin for switching between the fantastic views during the fire itself. So I mean, team here doing a phenomenal job with that. A couple more super chats to go through here. Saved by Grace was going to get a few memberships, but didn't work. Good job on the production. While we're talking about the props to the production team on that. Matt Sherman pointing out, fun fact, the reason they continue to paint the OLM is because they are looking at blast patterns and where to place shielding as they ramp up more engine tests.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. I like that idea. I'm not sure if it's the correct guess, but I think that is one of the most plausible reasonings behind why they paint this pad between static fires. I like that. I really like that idea.
Yeah, because you see him painting, it's like, all right, it's just some paint. And the other question is, are there any thermal properties to that paint, or is it more just A, aesthetics, and now B, scorch marking? That's something we'll have to keep an eye on for sure. Let's see. Your MJK, thanking us for the amazing coverage and wanting 60 frames per second. Nick coming in here saying Saturn V at a thrust weight of 1.2, so about 35 to 3,600 tons, more than the approximately 3,220 tons here. So I see all the math that's been going on in chat, which you appreciate it, because I went into journalism, so I didn't have to do math.
Good call there.
Yes. Jade 4, what do you think of giant space tethers for spaceflight? I don't know if anyone has any space tether ideas.
Space
that would
tether.
Be very restraining, I guess.
Oh my god.
No.
No.
I mean, if I can hook up to the Wi-Fi on it, if it's that kind of tether, then sure.
No.
And oh my gosh. And
by this kind of response, you probably guess nobody of us has a hard opinion on space tethers yet.
No, we don't.
Oh,
nope, not yet.
I will just point out that somewhere else in this building on a totally different floor, someone just totally cracked up at that. So I'm a little proud of myself on that one.
I can guess who.
Uh-huh. And Aaron asking, will there be another static fire before, I guess, launch or lunch? I'm not sure which, but both are good questions.
Well, yes. if there's a static fire before lunch, I'd be really surprised.
I mean, when do you have lunch? Like, what's the
I'm kind of hungry. Yeah, lunch break. I don't know. Elon doesn't give anyone lunch breaks. Just get back to work.
Yeah, but to be fair, yes, there will be more static fires. We know that from the NASA document. They will conduct a 33 engine static fire before launch. We don't know if there will be more incremental steps on the way to that. We just don't know. We don't have a fixed schedule how many static fires are planned for this at this point. But yes, there will be more static fires at some point, and one of them will be a 33 engine static fire,
which is insane. And I mean, that brings up another question here that James Hershey asked, which is, how are they possibly going to do a 33 engine fire or launch without some sort of flame trench? Because the 14 engines looked completely insane.
Well, it looked insane, but they didn't need a flame diverter. So
that is true, but it seems like it kicked up a lot of dust. And isn't there a potential then for FOD or debris if you're kicking up that much dust?
They cleaned below the pad. They usually do that before static fire attempts, and also I think the suppression system might help with that as well, because it also waters and cleans the ground before ignition. And if there's FOD that is pushed up by the thrust next to the pad, that would go outside, so that would not fly in the direction of the booster or the engines. So I think they might be fine. I was a bit skeptical about the lack of flame trench and everything before this test, but to be fair, this test looked like there was some debris flying around. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like that would always be the case if you fire a decent amount of engines. So yeah, it looked pretty good to me.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that was with 14. Once we get to 33, that will absolutely be insane. I agree, and but I trust SpaceX enough on this one, and if nothing else, we may just have to keep an eye over the next bit on Starbase Live as we see if they do any work on the bottom there too, any improvements, any upgrades. Here's another question from this past static fire, two of them in fact. Did the deluge system seem like it was on for a longer time, and did it look like there was a staged firing of the Raptors? I don't know if anyone was looking closely, but I think Alex maybe.
Yeah, that's one of the problems of the new fire suppression system, that now all the water and the nitrogen is in the way, so you cannot really see the actual startup sequence. You can probably guess it by the sound. The sound at least sounded a little bit more like staggered. If you listen closely, you might be able to hear that. So yeah, that's one of the only indicators that we actually have. But yeah, the other question, the deluge system was on for a longer time. I think it was on for a normal time. It was on for like 5-10 seconds before the fire, and that's a standard usually on, or at least what one will expect for this.
Exactly. And I do just want to point out something absolutely phenomenal here from Nick out in the fields. Nick, do you want to talk about this picture?
Yeah.
Look at this.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't talking about that one. If Doss can hear me, I'm talking about the FireX one. I'm sure he's clicking the buttons for it, but we can talk about this one too.
Okay, yes, look at the engines on that. Go ahead.
That's the static fire, a little bit wide, and yeah, you can actually see the glow of the red on the launch tower there. It goes from red to orange to kind of yellow on the way up there.
Oh wow, yeah, the staggered up the whole back of that. That's amazing. And yeah, so
I love that the production side is in the background. I for some reason I love that touch. Like, that's so cool.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic touch, and we're also working on getting a good close up of how that FireX system works too. So we'll show that to you guys in just a minute as well. So, I mean, wow! Again, just seeing the pictures of that is still absolutely stunning. And that can also kind of give us a little bit of an indication too of there it is. Look at that. There's your close up of the
there it is. Okay,
deluge system.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Nick, what are your thoughts now seeing that zoomed in? What are your thoughts on it?
That was kind of crazy. I wasn't really expecting to see this quite in so much fire and fury. You can see there the FireX system in function, both on the right and on the left of the that center column there. I posted this picture up on Twitter. You guys can find this full res image up on my Twitter at Mecca and Sweeney if you want to take a look at this a little closer. But this is a really good view of the base of the OLM in work, and showing how the FireX system is suppressing something. I guess, I don't know. Looks like a very small pipe in comparison to the rest of the flames. But hey, I guess SpaceX knows what they're doing. And unfortunately, it did look like my camera moved focus on me a little bit, or perhaps I'll have to look at it when I get back out there. Perhaps I was focused on the backside of the orbital launch mount, so not quite tack sharp like I'd appreciate, but hey, better than nothing.
Better than nothing. This image is absolutely phenomenal, man. So still, amazing job on that, and it really does put that into perspective. And I know there were some concerns a while back, what we talked about, I believe, on the Spin Prime one Thursday about, don't those seem a little bit flimsy? How are they going to support it? And they performed, it looks like, from our perspective at least, exactly as planned. Let's see. So we still are seeing some action, it looks like, from the orbital launch mount. We had a little bit of a venting earlier. Any idea what that might be? Is that still part of depress?
Yeah. So far, this is very similar to other depress operations we have seen. You see the engine still venting a bit. That's normal. You see the recondenser being up at the tank farm. You see all these vents we would expect in the depressurization operations, where they just save the vehicle, empty it, and basically get ready to spool down. So this looks all quite normal and good.
All that.
Normal and good. Love hearing that. I'll even go as far as to say normal.
Ooh, that was a
Nice.
$10 fine from Mr. Everyday Astronaut.
I will pay it. I don't care. It's worth it.
No, wait. That wasn't from Tim. That was from who said that?
No, that was during the SpaceX
Innsbrucker?
live stream. That was John.
Was that John
Innsbrucker?
Yeah. Okay.
On the Intelsat 35E launch. I even
Of
know
course, you know that out of your head.
Come
Yeah.
on, Adrian.
The
course
propulsion,
I know.
propulsion
Also,
continues to be nominal. I even know the entire phrase.
Well, that's also because it's played during our intro too. But yeah.
Oh right, that's true. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, but
that.
in the intro, it's not like in the bottom it says Intelsat mission.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
I know the mission, but because it's scrubbed twice, so you kind of remember those missions that is scrubbed a lot, like I don't know, Artemis 1. Anyways.
Oh no!
I feel like some people are very mad at us right now.
I also remember
Oh.
SES 9. Hey, and it's Falcon 9. Okay, it was in 2016. I know, but it's Falcon 9.
There you go. Yeah, we got to be nice to what we say. The big orange rocket is listening.
Do you remember Adrian NROL 44?
Painfully.
Uh-huh.
See?
I
See?
I remember some very bad stats about NOL 44 because
There
there
you
was
go.
like wasn't there like this stat that the Falcon 9 booster launched like 3 or 4 times in the time that NOL 44 was on the pad? Like there was a crazy stat about that, and as a Delta 4 Heavy fan, this hurt me. Like it was like I was reading it, it was like a poke in the side.
I'm going to try and forget that because I was there for all of those attempts as well. But let's go back to Starship here because the PTSD is kicking in. For those of you asking in chat, we are working on getting a replay up momentarily, so please stand by. We will have that for you. So going back kind of to the OLM, we were talking a little bit earlier about the possible thermal protection. So as they're noticing all these scorch marks and everything, could SpaceX use something like a thermal metal spray or thermion coating to protect it from static fire and launches? Is what Adrian is asking. Other Adrian.
Oh.
If this Adrian wants to answer it too, but yes, it's from Adrian. So Adrian, you want to answer Adrian?
The answer sounds lame, but yes, it could be the case, but we just don't know if that I wish we know what the coding was for, but since nobody has like spotted the label of the coding they're using yet, I do not think we can say. But it could be. It could also be like something that, for example, protects the pad against like salt water corrosion things because they're close to salt water, and usually that's not really great for infrastructure. And that could also be the case. There's a lot of theories what this whole the coding could be for.
Right. And yeah, I don't know, Nick or Alex, you may be able to answer this one of what do they actually use to... Actually, I'll get to that question in just a second. I do want to point out that we do have a replay of the static fire, and I do want to make sure that everyone gets to see that, and then we can take a look at it closer and see if we spot anything, any of the staggering and what we have. So we will get that up and play that for you.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
Wow, that dust plume coming right at the camera.
That's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's so forceful. It's insane. I love it.
Yeah, you can see some of the stuff actually getting kicked up too as it's blowing towards the camera. Nothing serious, but still just that picking up whatever's there.
Should we be worried for our cameras for the 33 engine static fire? Like, should that be a consideration?
I think we should have had been worried about that many months ago, especially during the July accident. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
someone
already too late to worry.
someone pointing out no need to clear debris because the rocket's doing it for us here.
Yeah.
And as is also being pointed out, the honk on that. Yeah,
I love the
maybe
raptor
we can get
honk.
that back again at half speed. I think that would be kind of good. Plus, we can also see if there's some staggering of the engine firing too.
Oh, we can.
Oh, you can. Yep.
Yeah. Even in the audio.
You can see in the light levels that reflect on the tower that it's increasing. You can see how the light level has like several layers where it just increases.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, should we worry about the cameras? I mean, I trust us, so I think we're good. Look,
They'll be okay.
oh,
I didn't
that
put 'em out
doesn't get
today.
old.
Hang on a second. How you gonna put me on the hook for that? We had our skilled field team deploy them today. Nick, are you worried about the cameras?
I am very worried about the cameras per our frantic Discord messages a minute ago.
Maybe we should check on the cameras and see how the cameras are doing.
That would be amazing because
That might be a thing.
for all the people listening here, I've been editing and looking through pictures that are getting uploaded from some of the deployed cameras I have out there, and there's this one shot that just the big dust plume just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until everything is just brown, and I'm like, oh dear, is that camera alive right now? I don't know.
There's two of the shots and your antenna that seems to be radiating into the ground, Nick.
Oh, well, that's well, thank you.
But I think there's some more deployed around as well that we'll check on in a bit here, Nick.
Yep. They are alive. That is good. Happy bots.
I love the fact that we were like, yeah, that will be fine. Des took care of that, and then Des and Nick went like, no, we are worried.
Wait a second. I mean, when that much energy is released that close to any equipment, you're wondering what the state's going to be. And even during the static fire, even during the Falcon Heavy, that we had the SpaceX feeds down at the Cape. SpaceX had some camera feeds go down when Falcon Heavy took off. So you always wonder what's going to go on. But the ones in the foreground here, they're actually outstanding in their field, capturing the test here today. And we've got some other ones we'll check on as well. But looking good so far.
Good news.
Very good news. Yes, looking fantastic. While we have a moment here, want to answer a couple super chats here and thank all of you for supporting us. Chrome230, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. Hopefully we will get to see you in the Discord, because as a reminder, everyone Capcom and above does get access to our Discord, including specific channels to talk about things like Starship 2. So thank you for that. Smooth Juice, Bacon, buddies all the way around, and thanks Nick for the stunning shots, which I agree. And there's only 1.1k likes on Twitter. We gotta fix that, or 1.1k likes here as well. We appreciate all the likes on everything here, so thank you. Morgan asking, do they chill all 33 engines during a static fire with fewer Raptors firing to thermally protect those just hanging out there? I don't know if... Yes, Adrian?
Based on the fact that we see sometimes where they vent, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Alex, I do believe we only think they chill down the engines that are actually fired, because we could see in the early tests where they only fired one engine, that only one engine was venti. And you could like see from a very distinct spot, like this one engine venting over and over again. But it was not like all the engines just venting from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Good to know that. Thank you. Matt Sherwin coming in with 2 super chats here discussing the coatings, saying that the coating on the orbital launch mat we're talking about here uses most likely a highly emissivity paint that would allow for an infrared camera to be used to detect heat patterns due to the paint getting stripped. And when that highly emissivity paint gets removed, it would change heat that is reflected back. Yep, we're learning more every day. That would be really interesting there. And Jeff pointing out the in the beginning of our replay there, looking like some large chunk of debris that was blown out. But everything still seems to be okay otherwise from what it looks like here. I don't know
Yeah,
if anyone
also
has
what-
thoughts of... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have some thoughts. I just because they didn't rapidly depressure right after the test, which also usually in the past has been a good sign that they just hold for a bit and then depressure. Like there was no obvious panic. It was more okay. That looked good. Next up, depressure, and then they hold a bit, depressure. Like it's not that they it seemed to be like a panic process, which usually is a good sign.
Very true. The fact that this looks about as normal as any other post-static fire procedure is a good thing.
Yep.
So now the speculation comes up while we have a moment to discuss that. So we've now seen 7. We've now seen 14. Bob asking, do you think the next level will be 21? What is everyone's predictions? We'll start with Alex. What do you think? What's your prediction for next static fire? Or Nick, go ahead first.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do some more in this range of between like 10 and 20 engines. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do a couple more of these, and then we'll see that 33 engine static fire. Because remember, there are 33 engines under there. They're probably going to want to test each one of those 33 engines.
And once we see a 33 engine static fire test, I wouldn't even be surprised if they try multiple of them just to make sure it actually works as intended. Like everything, not just the vehicle, but also the ground systems and things like that. I don't know. I on the article that I wrote for today, by the way, I basically also said that it could also be a thing to see a full static fire test. So like running a wet dress rehearsal, and then at the end of the countdown, static fire the engines just as simulating the launch, but without actually, making the rocket go. So that could be another possibility as well. We might see 33 engines destacked, and then again, once the full thing is already tested, and they're like, okay, this works. Now let's, rehearse everything. That might be a thing. Again, it's we don't fully know all the insights into everything, so the only thing that is left for us is kind of guess here, but we'll see.
Yes, and we actually had a poll going up of how many engines you think would be on the next static fire. 14 to 16, aka a repeat, over 20, or a full send. And looks like 45% saying over 20 engines next, 29% thinking a repeat, and 27 hopeful that we get the full, I would say 9 yards, but I guess it's the full 33 engines.
By the way, I promised numbers, and I already have the numbers.
Oh, yes, please. I love your numbers.
Well, so 14 Raptor 2 engines is between Falcon Heavy and the Space Shuttle in terms of thrust. But it's more closer to Space Shuttle than Falcon Heavy. The Falcon Heavy equates to 10 Raptor 2 engines, and the Space Shuttle equates to 15 and a little bit of a change there, 15.34. And Shuttle Energia is also more or less the same. Saturn V is a little bit under 16 Raptor 2 engines, and SLS goes all the way almost to 17 and a half. So basically, maybe a spin prime on the 18th engine. So yeah,
wow.
It's sort of in that same range.
Yeah, and I should just say that it wasn't me this time that said shuttle to put on the bingo cards. So making that clear.
And obviously, before people mention that, because I know some people like to mention it, the N1 is 20.13 in terms of the equivalence to Raptor 2 engines. So if the Fire 21 engines, if the Fire 21 engines, that's more powerful than the N1 rocket. There you go.
Yeah, the magic number is now 21. That's the one where it will take records.
I also have one for you, Adrian.
Oh no.
You see, if the Fire 5 engines, 5 Raptor 2 engines, you know who they bit?
Delta 4?
5.
Oh.
No.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, the
5? Only 5?
Yeah, 5.
Wow.
Only 5 engines. It's needed. I mean,
that's crazy.
It also has 5, right? Or is 2 engines on each booster? Anyways. But it's a nice coincidence, I guess. Long
Yeah, but
March
it's crazy
5,
that they just
5
need
Raptor 2.
5 to beat the biggest Chinese rocket right now. Like, just casual 5.
Yeah, and this one has 33, so...
Wow.
Yeah. And there's already been over 200 of them now in production.
Yep. That's a lot.
I think a lot's an understatement, yeah. This is a powerful, ridiculously powerful engine here, and it's fantastic.
Will this, like, I know, I was not sure if we reached a conclusion about that, but I discussed it with some point on air. Will this be one of the most fired rocket engines before its orbital test flight ever?
Ooh.
Because
possibly.
Because
Well,
it has a ridiculous amount of testing time, right?
I think it also
Possibly.
risks the question of, are we talking the same engines repeated, or just multiple different engines being tested?
Yeah, but in general, Raptor engines fired. Like, if you add all of that McGregor testing time and then all of the hops and then the static fires, that's a huge amount of testing data before the first orbital flight. And I have a hard time imagining that a lot of engines can beat that before their first orbital flight.
I mean, if you include McGregor, then yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm curious how much the RS-25 was fired before the first flight.
Good question, how many times the RS-25 was fired before it first flew on shuttle.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm checking with the shuttle expert right now. Chris G says dozens upon dozens of times, so...
Huh.
Sounds like it would be close at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a question from BK asking, is there any concern of metal fatigue that the bottom of the LOX tank is chilled to cryo temps and the top has not been? And loves the coverage. So is that because it doesn't seem like we're getting that full fueling all the way up this tank, is my understanding.
Well, but it is cold still. Like, it's not that, like, the air in there is warm. So I don't think it's as drastically as it looks. And I mean, I would imagine no, because you still have you would already have this asynchronic effect if you always fuel it as well, because the top would always be the last to receive cold material and the first to no longer have it. So you would have this problem with fueling it fully all over again also, and I do not think it is a problem as of yet. They want to reuse this a lot of times, so if that is a design problem, that would be a shame.
I just got a notification. I think we have a video out there with the replay of the static fire.
Ooh.
See, this is why it's important to subscribe and
Jack
hit the
coming in
notification bell
clutch with
so
that.
you get notified for these videos.
That was a quick turnaround.
Yeah. Talk about really
that might
fast
be a
turnaround.
record. That's
I can
quick.
do faster. That was about an hour. I can do 40 minutes. I'm ashamed of myself.
It was not an hour. It's still not an hour. That was 12:51 p.m. I think, and we're almost to 1:45 p.m. So it was not an hour. Don't shame yourself. You're real good. I mixed very and really good, but I don't care.
But either way, you can now get
Yeah.
multiple angles of the static fire on our channel.
Absolutely. And yes, that is and that's our job to do, not yours, Jack. Let's see. Someone was asking kind of along these lines here. Rich asking, how many full engine tests do you think the pad can handle? I suspect we wouldn't want to see more than the minimum necessary, because the energy involved could be pushing limits. I mean, we're talking about this design for reuse and reusability and quick turnarounds. Do you think this is a pad that's here to stay? Or is it something that they're just going to test it as few times as possible and get straight to the orbital test and then build a new or upgrade one as needed?
I mean, this is the test. This is the pad they want to use for orbital flights so far, and I think it's here to stay. And also, I feel like it's way too long in build, so that it's only used for a few times. And I would imagine that it is constructed in a way that it would be able to handle multiple full engine static fires, because otherwise that would have been a bad design for a pad. So I would imagine it can do this multiple times. However, and that should be said, there could always be the potential that they learn something doing these very high energy static fires that might result in the pad not being built correctly to withstand this amount of energy. So we will see.
The wise words of Chris G, indeed. Yes, I now owe him $3 apparently in royalties. Well, cheaper than the other phrase, so that's fine. I don't even want to know how much I would get charged if I talked about empty pad shots again with DOS. So we'll continue on here.
All sorts of ideas concerning pricing there, Sawyer. We can catch up later.
Can I get on a payment plan at this rate then?
Like a monthly subscription to NSF phrases.
Yeah, a monthly subscription. Nice, I like it.
Yes, NSF Plus. There you go.
Oh God.
We'll do it $7.99 instead of $8.
No check mark needed. Anyway, back to
check mark
to
included, you mean?
Yes. Oh, well, we do have some other people that are supporting us as well. So thank you to Alex. No message, but thank you for the support there. Nick Salve asking, is there a way to test that the hold down clamps will release when the upward force of the engines is on them? Because obviously right now with these static fires, we don't want to see them release. So is there a way to test that, or is it kind of just you test it without the rocket and hope it goes?
I'm not sure if they are like, is the booster also, like, this is a question for Alex, is the booster also standing on these hold down clamps?
Well, it should be standing on the hold on clamps, otherwise that thing will go through and just hit the ground.
But can they release them without the booster tipping over?
I don't understand. What you're saying,
Yeah,
that
like,
if one doesn't retract, something like that?
Could they do a test, for example, right now, and the booster would still stand on this pad?
If it was retracted, would the booster still be there, or if you let it go, it would instantly fall to the ground?
Oh, it will fall to the ground, yeah.
Oh, then
well,
let's...
hold up. They cannot retract, I think, in the current configuration, because they have a bottom lip. Yeah, I don't think they can retract with a booster on top. You know, I have to actually look it up. I think they cannot go. They cannot retract with a booster.
Otherwise, the booster would just fall down the pad, which would be bad.
Yeah. No, but even with that, it's more like this is gonna be a bad comparison, I guess. Like the hungry hippos, that they grab onto something. So you have the upper munch. I don't even know what's like the jaw of the hippo or something. The bottom. Jeez, the bottom jaw.
Did you just say the upper munch?
Yeah, when it's munching on the booster, there's like a lip on the bottom, and so you have to open it and then retract the hold-on clamp. But if you just retract the hold-on clamp without retracting it, then you're just basically ripping off the bottom lid of the booster. So you cannot retract the old end clamps just like that.
I don't know, Alex. I can't get past the upper munch. Folks, thanks for watching today. We're going to go ahead and call the stream on that comment.
Oh, no.
The upper munch of the hold-down clamps.
But DOS, the road isn't open. The road is not open yet. We can't spin this down.
Clearly, we're not going anywhere, no matter how bad the references are. So you're stuck with us, chat.
I have tears in my eyes.
Let me just say, I've heard rockets and rocket systems compared to a lot of different things. That's the first time I've ever heard any rocket system compared to the game Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Because it's just like that. It's like munching on the bottom lip of the booster. There's like jeez. It's super complicated when there's not like technical terms for any of these.
It does make sense. It goes out, it holds on to the little
Yeah.
ball thing that it has to collect, and then when it's time, you let go, it retracts.
Exactly. So if you don't let go and just retract, you just basically rip off that lid at the bottom of the booster. It doesn't make sense if, unless you actually open the clamp. Which is one of the things. Yeah, which is one of the things that actually allows them to static fire this, because this was 3,220 tons of thrust with 14 engines, okay? And there was not a lot of propellant on board. We get a lot of concerns from people saying, oh, they need the full stack and fully fueled in order to be able to test all 33 engines. But I think this was way more than what the clamps will see on even a fully fueled static fire test with 33 engines. So there you have the proof that they can actually hold down the booster when it fires a lot of thrust, just because of the thrust to weight ratio in this test. I can probably take a try at estimating that after the live stream and probably tweet it out and something like that. I don't know. I'll maybe think about that later. But it's another proof that the hold downs are designed to be able to hold down the thrust of the vehicle, and especially they have a double turnbuckle on the hold downs that actually compresses and doesn't allow them to open up. That's kind of the thing that I was trying to say with the upper munch or something like that. It's like the jaw of the hold down that is being pressed down even more for this static fire to suggest they don't release the rocket, because otherwise it will release the rocket and fly away, and that's what you wouldn't want in a static fire test. Obviously, for launch, these turnbuckles will probably be removed, and then now the clamps can open and release the rocket, which is what we want for launch, obviously.
I do feel like I have to point out the ideas that were now presented by some people in chat, saying we need an upper munch nightbot command, we need upper munch merch,
upper merch.
Yes, upper munch
Nice.
merch. And someone
Hungry
saying that we
Clump?
just need to have our own brand of Hungry Hippos game now. Instead of hippos, maybe we just make it rocket clamps for different rockets.
No, the marbles are like methane and LOX, little things that determine, like, they represent methane and LOX, and you have to like tap the Hungry Hippo thing to try and fill up your tanks with the right ratio of too much.
Well, as long as the orange hippo doesn't start leaking them out, then we're fine.
I need to Google this game. How's it called?
Hungry Hippos.
Thank you.
Probably got a German name that's, I don't know, I probably can't pronounce.
I won't even say the name in Spanish because it's obscene. It's not.
Is it really?
Yeah. Do you want me to say it?
Well, no,
I
no,
already
no.
said it once.
Nope.
I already said it once, and the whole chat was like, "Oh my gosh, this is what it means."
Then let's
not.
But everyone can now use their imagination, at least for a comparison of how this works. So there's something out of that. All right, back to normalcy here. Norman asking, is SpaceX randomly picking engines for the static fire, or is there maybe a logical order? For example, pumps, the manifolds. My thought, maybe it has to do with the rings of where the engines are located.
I would imagine that it might be a setup that makes sure that the thrust is kinda in the middle. That's just my expectation, because I would not imagine them liking the fact that this booster would produce like asymmetrical thrust. That's just like, I don't know. I cannot say that this is for sure. That's just that I would just speculate based on logic, maybe. And but besides that, we don't know. We know it's not completely ring related. I think we saw that in earlier static fires, that sometimes they fire randomly over the ring. So it's not like ring 1 and 2 fires, ring 3 doesn't. But yeah, there's probably a logic here, but we don't know the perfect logic here.
Yeah, some method to their madness or whatever, right?
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, it's SpaceX. There's always a method to the madness.
Nice.
And then Tech Controls asking with the super chat here, have we figured out what procedure they will use to load Starlinks? Like where they will load it and what point during integration they will be loaded? Thanks for the stream. I know this upcoming ship test will not have an available payload bay or a Pez dispenser in it, but once we do start seeing them loaded, how is that going to work?
Very
They,
carefully.
Yeah, well, I know it was caught recently in one of our recent videos from Starbase of some of the new Starlink satellites actually arriving down in Starbase too, which you can check out on the channel.
Yeah, I mean, this pest dispenser, my god, it kind of gives it away. They are using it like a pest dispenser. There's like a small gap in the booster where they could deploy it, and they can also load them through there. So they basically
Booster?
put them on booster. Yeah, sorry, ship. Sorry, there was a lot of booster talk today.
Yeah.
So they basically load them, then that lowers, then they can load the next, and so on. And once it deploys, it will also deploy like a pest dispenser, where the first thing will go off, and then the second. Or in my case, how you eat pest dispenser: the first, the second, the third, very quick succession.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Okay.
You eat Pez's just like me. I love
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you don't eat only one, right?
No, absolutely
How
not.
can you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like eating one Skittle or one M&M.
Yeah, are there people that just pick like one Skittle and eat that?
I don't want to meet
I know
them.
people that pick out individual flavors, but I wouldn't think just one at a time.
No, just having one and then just leaving. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's like closing a bag of chips. That doesn't work.
You got to finish the bag of chips. If you're gonna open it, you got to finish it.
Yeah, some viewers who, I guess maybe a little on the older side, might remember the bet you can't have just one advertisements. Seems like there is some consensus on that here.
Wasn't there another one that was like once you pop you can't stop, like Pringles?
Pringles, once you pop the fun, don't stop.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yep. So, do we have any? Here's a question for Brandon. Do we know or have any suspicions about the engine configuration that was tested? I know it was hard to see a little bit, but would it be half of the outer and half of the middle ring? Something like that?
Sadly, we don't know.
Yeah, it's always
more
so hard
of the method to the
see.
madness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, we just have to sort of try and make it up, but there's no official statement like, oh, yes, engines 13, 64, 72. Like, they don't tell us that. But Elon did tweet that there were 14 engines in the static fire. He didn't say, like, the inner 9 plus these or anything like that, though. So it comes down to conjecture, trying to, like, squint down to 2010 at different camera angles and say, oh, I think I see this many flames coming out of this ring. Some analysis can be done, but it is really tough without official information from SpaceX.
Especially with the fire suppression system in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we are also lucky that we today got a confirmation about the engines by Elon, because without that would have been hard to count. We would probably be able to make like some estimations after some time, where you like get a sense of how many engines that was, but it would have been hard to just pinpoint, okay, it was 14 without official confirmation.
Mm. And also the thing to note is the same thing that we were talking about in the days leading up to this, that this test fire was not going to be like a full ring or something like that. It was going to be more like a mix of engines. I know the easy kind of thinking here is that, oh, it's going to be all the inner 3 engines or all the middle 10 engines or a mix of both. Like 13 engines, or it's going to be the 20 outer engines, and that's kind of an easy sort of solution to jump to and conclusion to jump to. But the thing is, we have seen in the previous multi-engine static fire test that they have test fired different engines from different locations in the engine section, not just some of the, like when they did the 3-engine static fire test, that was not the innermost 3 engines. I think it was 2 from the middle ring of engines and 1 outer engine. When they did the 7, it was a mix of inner and outer engines as well. So it was to be expected that whatever number of engines they were going to be testing today, that was to be probably a mix between the inner engines, the outer engines, different combinations there. We obviously don't know the actual combination, but just from the number itself, 14 engines, you cannot say, oh, that was a full ring, because there's not a full ring of 14 engines. There is 13 engines, 13 inner engines, the 3 and the 10, those 13 engines can gimbal, but that will that will eventually mean that you will fire one of the outer engines. So I think it's more likely that they just fire maybe half of the inner engines or something like that, and maybe half of the outers. We don't really know, but that's probably more like a more evenly distributed load of the engine firing. And at the end of the day, it's also not even because of the thrust load on the vehicle. The engines that were fired, for example, on the 7-engine static fire test, which I guess was the last time we actually were able to spot which engines were fired, the thrust was not evenly distributed. It was a little bit more skewed to one side. But it is probable that they want to distribute this between outer and inner engines, because these engines use different plumbing on the vehicle. For example, the outer engines are mounted directly on that lip that I said on the bottom of the booster, whereas the center 13 engines are mounted to what is called an aft cap that is basically mounted directly on the aft dome of the liquid oxygen tank. So it's different plumbing that they use, and eventually what you would like to have is a test where you can test all of that at the same time, rather than just test one single one, where you can just gather one type of data. If you want to fire the engines, you will like to gather as much data as possible in the same test.
Exactly. Very, very good point there.
It needs aft cap, by the way, AFT. Because it is in the aft of the booster. So,
aft cap. Yes. Just emphasizing that there. Yes. Anot Gav asking, what's the minimum number of engines that would be needed for Booster and Starship to make it past the Kármán line? I don't know if we know that off the top of our heads, but I'm sure we can probably do some math and get back to you on that one. Question here from Gina asking, were the chopsticks wide open during the static fire? Now they've been closed, or were they always closed? So what position were they in for this static fire? And is that different from what we've seen in the past?
Yes, this is a first for a static fire of the booster. As far as chopsticks position, they were all the way up and swung all the way away. Last time they did a test, they had them all the way up, but they had them wide open. So this time it's all the way up and all the way away.
Which, just to point that out, because I feel like there might be somebody questioning that, this could not be a launch configuration, because they are not able to lift the chopsticks above the ship and to the side. So this could not ever be a configuration where they would launch.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Plus, especially if you are trying to catch the booster back, the chopsticks are a little out of the way for that, it seems like. Okay. The question now also that's being brought up here, it is a good question. Could the next test be a long duration static fire like the last? So at what point do you go from ramping up the number of engines to ramping up the duration? This may just be a speculation question at this point, but
I really have
the long duration test was for the was for the test of the pressurization system, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the question is, if they want to test that again, they would do that. But if they are satisfied with what the test results, they might just not test that ever again because they don't need it anymore.
And one thing to point out, though, that this was already, it was not like a short 3 or 4 second, it was more like 10-second static fire test. Even if, like, you can go to the replay, which has all the views and all the camera angles and everything, and even just by the sound, you can hear that it lasted about 10 seconds as well.
Yeah. definitely on the longer side. And then that kind of ties in with another question here about as we start to scale up is would you need to do a full-length static fire, as in 33 engines burning through a full tank for a wet dress and launch? With Sprognot Animations asking that. Feel like that's going to be interesting to see if with this sort of launch mount configuration, you see how toasty it gets already. Would you think that would be able to withstand a full-length burn of 33 engines? I don't think they're going to be able to do that personally, but I don't know what your opinions are, because I don't think we have anything set in stone yet on that.
They do have a full-length static fire as in 30 and burn through full tank. I do not think they will ever do a full duration static fire of Booster 7. Like, they don't... I know. This would be so much thrust to handle, and I do not see the stand being able to handle, like, a multi-minute static fire handling. I no.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen some of the toasty marks on the bottom of the OLM after this one, which, again, it still looks in amazing condition from the outside, at least, given the 14-engine static fire that we just saw. But yeah, all 33 for a full duration would be a bit crazy. So I don't know then how you test that for flight, or if there even is a way to test that for flight. Because, like, for example, I know Shuttle, it flew on its first official test flight with people on it, but you still had all of their versions of the green runs that they were able to test full RS-25 stack, and then test all of the SRBs on their own for full duration too. All right, I know I'm already just picking off more bingo cards there.
Okay, so I know I've been quiet for the past few minutes as I've been furiously typing, downloading, editing, exporting, uploading images. But I have something special to share with you guys. I have gotten one of the pictures that was just taken of this static fire up on the NSF metal print shop. Metal shop. It's not a metal shop. It's a metal print. You can get it if you want this on your wall. You can get it on your wall. And if you don't want it on your wall, well, then it's on your phone or screen or whatever you're looking at it on right now.
I apologize. It's not really a replay. That is actually shop.NASASpaceflight.com, but I've got it labeled as a relay, and I figured that's okay. That is actually over in the shop as one of the metal prints. Nick, you got... I mean, clearly you weren't standing there to take this picture, right?
No. Thanks to your help, Das. Das and I have been working pretty hard on getting some cool camera abilities, being able to get images from the field while cameras are deployed, and this is a product of that labor. So thanks for your help, Das.
Yeah, it's not normally a thing. Like, normally 12 hours later or something, everybody gets back in the car and goes out to retrieve the remotes, and then all the photographers are posting on Twitter and stuff. But you know, with our remote infrastructure at Starbase, we can sort of pull these images while the road is still closed. That's sort of what we do. So,
yep. So that's the magic sauce, and that's available for sale.
And while you're at that, we have amazing new Starship merch as well. You should check out when you are in the shop.
Absolutely.
So, just
probably
to point that out
as
well.
Isn't it? Oh yeah, there it is.
Yes,
on the homepage,
there it
hoodies
is.
and stuff.
I have 2 hoodies on order, and I am so excited. Like, it's finally starting to get cold enough down here. I mean, it's not cold today. It's like 80 degrees today. But, like, over the weekend, it was kind of barely maybe cold. Like, it was 60 degrees. And I was wearing an NSF hoodie. And I was like, all right, I got to get the new ones. So I have that exact one is coming to my house in a couple days. Except it's large.
Can you even wear those at a Starbase?
You know, I think they do allow it. They do allow us to wear whatever we want here at Starbase.
Well, it's not about allowing or not. It's like, does the weather allow you to wear one?
I do wear hoodies in the mornings, not because I'm cold, but because the mosquitoes are very, very persistent. So if you wear a big baggy piece of clothing, they can't get your arms or your torso quite as good. But they still get your hands and your neck.
Florida
Here
team
it's
can relate.
cold, but I do see a lot of mosquitoes still. I don't even know why. Gonna need some lessons.
The Florida team can relate, just saying. But yeah, I mean, those hoodies though are fantastic. And I love that design that it's got the 2 destinations for Starship with Moon and Mars on both the front and on the sleeve. So it's all shop.nasaspaceflight.com, and I've got my stuff on order.
what I appreciate at this point, how I'm so thankful that you guys are always in the field and just sitting out there getting stung by mosquitoes and everything, and I'm just sitting here at home like all the time in front of 3 screens with tea in my hand. So I'm very thankful for you all being out there. That's I feel like
Well,
that's not enough appreciated.
Well, we're thankful that you're where you're at because you give us warnings like, "Hey, this vent is This vent is venting. You got like 30 seconds," and that's always very helpful. So thank you.
It helps having 3 screens in front of you. Like I'm just surrounded by screens at this point. I know, like some people in this call be like, only 3 screens? That's so little.
Yeah,
I would die.
Oh, I'm normally a 2-screen person myself when I'm doing this, but at the moment I currently have a big orange rocket out my window, so I'm just using 1 screen.
Yeah, a lot of y'all. Sawyer, y'all did a lot of this from a KSC today, didn't you?
Yeah, Jack and I are both at KSC, so yes, we are again doing it from on site ahead of Artist tomorrow. But again, the big story right now is that 14-engine static fire today too.
Yep.
Lots of Artemis things happening. So exciting.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and again, while we're talking about Artemis, don't forget Starship is a whole part of the Artemis return to the moon infrastructure. This is your lunar landing vehicle with the Starship and with the ship itself. So getting this booster ready puts all of us one step closer to getting people back on the moon for the first time since 1972, and that includes also the first woman and the first person of color. So it's all connected.
All connected. Nice. It's like the circle of going to space or something. Circle of rockets. Yeah, there you go.
A circle of moon.
Circle of moon.
It was enough. It was enough Lion King in there for me that I instantly my brain went to the Circle of Life and screamed it in full volume.
Nice. We appreciate you that stayed in your head, and you didn't scream it into the microphones.
Yeah, I feel like we would lose all of our viewers.
I debated it, but I think it would get copyright claims if I did.
Yeah, you might be too good of a singer. Speaking of which, y'all, right now we just, I guess, almost over an hour ago now, witnessed the static fire. Elon on Twitter confirming that it was 14 engines that they lit up at Starbase today on Booster 7. We're just sort of hanging out. There's 10,000 almost of you hanging out here with us, and the road right now is still closed. A lot of the times we will stay live until the road opens, but you can see one lonely sheriff vehicle there at the roadblock, keeping people from approaching the launch site. Not seeing anybody else line up there, so we're sort of coordinating what our plan is going to be. Not sure that there's any indication that there will be additional testing today. Window goes all the way until 8 p.m., so they have almost 6 hours left in the window, but we're keeping an eye on the roadblock, and sometimes the tip-off is that SpaceX employees start to line up, and that's sort of a tip that they're going to open the road. Not seeing that yet. Not sure if they're just taking an abundance of caution here to clear the vehicle, safe everything, make sure that they are good before they approach it, but that's what we're doing. If you want to see the static fire, we got the link in chat. I believe it's pinned here. We actually have a quick edit video from a bunch of different camera angles that you can go back. You can play in slow motion and step back and forth and see if you can count the number of engines and all those sorts of things that you do. If you'd like to check out the pinned tweet up at the top of the chat. But for now, we're literally just answering some questions. We're hanging out. We're telling jokes. You know how we do. We do appreciate y'all hanging out with us, but that is a quick recap and what our plan is right now. Sawyer, back to you.
Hey, Das. That was Das reporting from the home.
Yeah, reporting from my
base.
spare bedroom, yeah. I mean, studio, so.
Of course, yes. The official NASA Spaceflight Studios.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see. We've got a couple more super chats here. We want to thank you guys all for the support that you're sending in for that. And we are still answering your questions. As mentioned, you can tag us at NASA Spaceflight with any of your questions. Matt Sherwin becoming a Red Team member. So thank you very much for becoming a member there. Alan saying Hungry Hippos in German came up on a stream back on August 30th. So apparently the Hungry Hippos references go back.
People storing the transcription of the stream or something like that and then like searching through it like a text file or something?
Yeah, I want to apologize if that ever came up and I already asked that, but sometimes you forget what you said on stream. I have to admit that. Like, I feel like at this point, most of us do like 10 plus hours every week on streams, and sometimes you're just in a flow and you just forget things. So if that ever came up on having Angry Apples in German, I'm sorry, I forgot.
We certainly say a lot of stuff on stream, that's for sure, Adrian.
I'm hearing a little bit of venting going on still. Kind of hear that going on in the background. I don't think it's too loud that you can't hear us, but... All right, Juke's coming in here. Adrian, this one's for you. Donating for NSF Discord movie night where we strap Adrian to a chair and make him watch all the movies for references he doesn't get.
It's kind of worrying how often this
long movie
already...
night.
Yeah, it's kind of worrying how often this already was suggested to strap me on a chair. Yeah, I will close my door at night.
Jim Cavett also mentioning the DOS report. So
yes,
DOS report, DOS good. And Matt here saying, I wouldn't be surprised if they add refractory or thermal tile shielding to the blast shield at some point, which is apparently something that's common practice in the steel industry. What is the latest with the blast shields? I believe they've been working on getting some of those ready and tested.
They're adding a lot of like plates. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Nick.
So actually, just in this morning's daily, if you go back and watch the daily, we do have a clip of some of the first cladding on the orbital launch tower going up, and a big black box going up on it. So we can see that they are progressing towards adding some enhanced cladding on the tower itself. And over the past few weeks,
one of the cameras.
Oh, yeah, we probably can. Let me. So you guys have oh, I have 7 screens. Oh, I have 5 screens. I have 3 screens. I have 1 screen. So
Nick is watching on his Apple Watch, like.
Hey, it's connected to some good Wi-Fi, so
nice.
At least it looks good. But yeah, we can actually see that right there. It's right behind the vent.
Allows
right behind the OLM vent. Yep. Just a little bit of cladding there, and so they'll obviously be adding more. Hopefully, I guess not obviously. Maybe they won't, but that seems to be the current trend. And they have definitely installed some more blast shielding around the base of the launch tower as well.
We also saw them. They installed, or more like they built a new kind of wall. I don't know. It's probably some kind of protection shield as well. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Right there to the right side, that black box there, it's covering the pipes that go from the tank farm all the way into the tower. And to the left of here, also on the base of the tower, right where the entrance is located, they have built a new wall as well. It appears that it might be going up farther, so it's probably like a 2-stage kind of construction theme that they have done there. So maybe we'll see more work on that as well. But as always, we'll keep watching. Tower cladding watchers.
It took me a second to log into that camera. I wasn't logged into that one yet, so I can get you the shot. I just have to click a couple times.
I just hope they speed up the amount of cladding they put up every day, because if they are only putting up 1 a day, that will be a bit.
And I guess now it is the time, wink wink, not to actually have like close-up pictures of the tower before they clad it.
That's actually a good idea. I wonder who could do that.
If only we had a picture of that.
Nick is like noted.
I'll have to talk to someone about that.
Oh boy. I'm sure that will magically appear at some point here. Let's see. While we're doing that, talking still about that big dust plume. ATL asking, do you think they'll want to control the dust in the future? And if so, how do you think they'll do that? Because that was, again, probably a 300-foot, sorry, it's in Imperial units, but a 300-foot plus plume that came up from that in just 14 engines, let alone when we get to 33.
I mean, it's hard to control, right? The only way they could do it is like, I don't know, concrete the whole area and then scrub it before launch. But I doubt they would do it, and I don't... Is it a problem, I would ask? Like, is it a problem that there is a huge plume of dust, of dust and fog and everything at liftoff? Because it would clear with its thrust-to-weight ratio of 1.5. The booster would clear the plume very quickly, and you would be able to see it. And I do not think like it's a concern, at least from what I would expect.
Good point there, yeah. Don asking, did we see the QD pull back during this static fire? So yeah, it's trying to see what's similar and what's different from past static fires besides just the 14 engines. Did any of you guys catch where the QD was for this?
Let me just check our replay video that we have on our channel.
See our replay video in the pinned comment as well at the top of the chat.
But I do believe the answer is no. Yeah, we are looking at the QD, if the QD disconnected, but
Speaking of replay video.
That replay video?
Yeah, this one. You know, the one you can get to by clicking on the link in the pinned comment.
Oh, then you can just, like, over and over rewind and watch it at the pace you want to and as often as you want.
That's actually what I was doing.
Arm is out.
Yeah, to see the size of the arm, the size of the plume is what I was looking for there while y'all were talking about it.
Yeah, that was a nice plume. Just saying, really big, nice plume. Love it.
But to answer the question, I do not believe the QD pulled back.
Right.
And we believe that's also kind of the debate going on what to expect during the actual launch, right? I actually think the QD arm will retract several seconds before liftoff instead of being right at liftoff.
The QD arm from the south camera angle. Very confusing with the two cameras on the screen at the same time.
That would make sense because again, most rockets, including Falcon, you see obviously the strong back retract. You get those kind of things that disconnect a little bit before, but you also don't want to do it too soon so that if you do have to scrub, now all of a sudden your lines are disconnected. But I think that is a possibility, that it could be 1 or 2 seconds before, just to give that extra time, assuming all engines are showing normal.
The thinking is probably more like 30 seconds or so before flight, because on the hops, for example, that we saw with SN8, SN9, SN10, so on, they retracted the QD. Obviously, the QD was in a different location back then. It was not on the side of the ship, and it was not via these QD arm thing. But they also retracted the QD and sort of isolated it before the engines started. So it's likely that we will see something like that, because we haven't really seen, we have seen a quick disconnect, the quick disconnecting, and we have seen retraction movement of the arm, but we haven't really seen that as it didn't feel like it was fast enough to be able to clear in time for a liftoff. Yeah. If this thing were to shoot off at 1.5 thrust to weight ratio. So it's probably more likely that the QD arm might, like the QD itself, will detach, and then maybe at liftoff the QD arm will retract or like swing a little bit and then swing the whole way. That's something as well that happens with the crew axis arm on Falcon 9, where the crew axis arm does not retract all the way. It retracts a little bit for just mainly to let the Dragon to clear in case of an abort during fueling. But then at liftoff, it retracts fully. So that could be a thing as well. And we have a bird there. Hi, bird.
Hey, bird. A lot of birds, actually.
Yeah, a whole flock of them came through. The great-tailed grackles.
They look like they have fun.
Well, they're just teasing Booster 7. We know you want to fly, so we're just flying around it. Which, by the way, we are still seeing a lot of that venting coming out the bottom of the OLM. Mike K asking, why are they still dumping or venting so much, and is that a normal detanking procedure?
Yeah, this is normal. It takes a lot of time. Last time, from the spin prime to the road opening, we had about 3 hours. So they take some time to save these vehicles and then also clear all the lines, because there might be like propellant in the lines as well. And then recondense it as well, because we know there's recondensing going on inside this tank farm. So yeah, there's all kinds of different things going on right now to save the vehicle and also restore as much propellant as you can, so you don't need to refill it, because as we pointed out before, Boca Chica is kinda in the, I wouldn't say middle of nowhere, but it's kinda isolated from just getting easy propellant refuelings. So the more you can save, the better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely a little further away from easier access than some other spaceports. If you have any questions, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight. Here's one from Kurt. When they attempt a booster catch, do you know about how many minutes after separation until the booster gets back to the pad? And will the chopsticks have enough time to move them in place?
Oh, why?
Who is that depressed?
Hey, man.
Is it done? Can we talk?
Think so.
That was probably a almost full depress vent. That
Yeah.
looked like, hey, we are done.
Yeah, that was definitely a
like
lengthy. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You were saying it's definitely a lengthy test there.
Yeah, a lengthy depress.
Depress.
Looks like
Depress.
they were releasing a lot of pressure from the tanks of the rocket there. So,
Which is good,
but I
and
also
normal,
find-
just to point it out.
Yes, very normal. What I find fascinating also with Starship is that not only is that like a depress for this, but those same valves are same idea as well is going to be used for helping to control Starship and the boosters a little bit as well, right? Don't they use some of the remaining pressure inside to fire off as if they're small thrusters?
Yes. That is
Yeah.
that we just saw, these are thrusters. Basically, they will use these to steer. Which is cool. I like that. So
Yeah.
you could call this a thruster test if you're very, very nice.
I think the ones that are just focused in on have those deflectors on them that sort of point to the exhaust downwards, and we've seen those lateral ones that stick straight out from between the grid fins, right? And those seem to go in the cardinal directions. You got one sort of north, south, east, west, or X and Y on the rocket, plus X, plus Y, whatever you want to call it, right? We've seen those up there that seem to put all their force in one direction on the very end of the lever arm, versus these are sort of a midships, sort of with the deflector that points them backwards. So could they use this as ullage to sort of like push the fuel towards the back or
Yes.
accelerate the rocket forward a little bit? That might be what the ones we just had zoomed in on. And then for attitude control, we see those four thrusters at the top that sort of stick straight out at the side, those plumes that come straight away from the bottom of the rocket, the body of the rocket. A nice long lever arm from the center of mass, and applying that force out with the cold gas thruster just by venting some pressure. And Newton says you throw some gas in this direction and the rocket will want to go in the other direction. So
Yes. Yeah, I really think they would need that for the boost back, right? They would need some sort of propellant settling mechanism, because after the flip of the booster, the propellant would be all over the tank probably, and you don't wanna just get like air or like empty bubbles in your propellant, because usually that doesn't go well with engines.
Yeah, you know, like when you're sucking on a straw and you want to like get the last of the drink out or whatever. Remember, most of the drink is gone at that point because it's done its job and carried the rocket or carried the ship up to release it so it can go on its way. And the booster flipping around is a big empty container, empty of the fuel that it needs. And so you got to make sure that you have that settling into your fuel intake sometimes. I don't know if they would use those specifically to ullage that like in the atmosphere during the boost back. Do we know how Falcon 9 does that?
I think they use like thrusters, right, for the boost back. Alex?
Well, I was discussing a thing with my brother. Can you repeat that?
We were talking about boost back and sort of ullage thrusters. Or how does the Falcon 9 make sure that there's fuel down in the intakes after it does a boost back burn?
Oh well, oh boy, there's a lot of secrets there, but there's a few things that I can talk about. The RCS thrusters actually have a pair of RCS thrusters that fire downward to be able to settle some of the propellant on board the tanks. So that's one of the ways that they can actually be able to do that, and that's what we think it's gonna happen with those how to call them, cowbell vents?
The side cowbell vents, or what they like have deflectors on them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they fire downwards. So one cool thing that's probably in order to be able to do the ullage burn for the propellant to settle, because it's gonna be doing a flip, and during the flip you will want because there's two things there. The engines shut down, and usually when they shut down, they create a little bit more of thrust and so on and so forth. So sometimes you might actually have the liquid inside to naturally go up into the tank and drift up because it's in 0G, right? And another thing is when it does the flip, you're also imparting a rotational velocity on the vehicle, and the center of mass might not be at where the two tanks join together. It might be a little bit lower. So the methane, for example, on the top tank might drift also outwards to the top of the tank. So that's another thing that you have to consider when firing those ullage thrusters, because you need so you not only have all that liquid floating now instead of being at the bottom of the tank, but the vehicle is under a basically an attitude change that facilitates that, sort of makes that liquid to actually go outwards from the inlet. So you need to fire those ullage thrusters
to get it to settle back down.
Or have any sort of other mechanism to be able to put the liquid back on the inlet, to in this case on the sump of the bottom of the tank.
Just to point out, like, give an update from the road closure. So far, only that one alone sheriff car. I hope that sheriff has like a good Netflix show or something, because he or she's sitting there alone all the time. Also, there's a second tanker truck now parked there, so they're waiting to get their delivery. Yep, that just parked there, and they probably told them like, yeah, you cannot refill right now.
Yeah, and we also just saw a little bit more of the depress venting there too. That's still continuing. That one, definitely see some of it a little bit below the grid fins there too.
Is that?
Is it gonna turn?
That is security Tesla?
That is a security Tesla.
That's the disco
First
Tesla.
off, didn't know that was a thing.
And here we go.
And a truck behind it. I was zooming in to show the two tanker trucks in the background, but the white Tesla with a light bar on top is it's like the escort security Tesla. Sometimes the first one in or out of the pad. Sometimes it escorts.
It's the disco Tesla.
Oh,
it's the disco Tesla.
The disco Tesla. All right, the disco Tesla. Fine. But that's curious that it has lined up there at the roadblock.
Yeah,
this is looking good.
This looks like the usual forming of the road opening caravan now.
Oh,
like,
is that the van?
The work van?
Nope.
No,
that's
that's
not the
small.
van.
That's
yeah,
big,
the
right?
delivery one.
But they're getting ready. Like this is a good indicator that they are about to get to the pad and open this.
Nice. We'll the wind has really picked up on the camera here, so I'm not going to shake everybody's eyeballs too much, but we'll continue keeping an eye on that in another window here. As the sun starts to get in the eyes of this camera. Where's my south camera? Hang on. There we go. Let's go to this one.
What can I say? That view is so cool it needs shades.
Yes, it really does need shades, though.
Come on.
We need like one of those motorized variable ND filters.
I was gonna say, yeah, we need an IP-controlled VND.
There you go. Do they make those, I wonder?
No, but I bet you we could figure something out.
Heck, with a Raspberry Pi and a little bit of wire, you could probably figure
Lord,
it out.
no.
Like,
I'm not touching another Raspberry Pi.
you'd rather just give it a long string on a pulley than you run all the way back to the village?
Totally would rather have a string.
Probably
Raspberry
more
Pis
reliable
are
than a Pi.
great, but don't try to use them when it's 8,000 degrees outside. They will not work reliably.
Yeah. We had some specific issues with, we were using Raspberry Pis for some of our audio encoding, and as it turns out, it helps if you put the heat sinks on them before you deploy them onto the beach in the middle of summer in South Texas. We worked that out
is
ourselves,
true.
right, Nick?
We did figure that out after like lots of reflashing memory cards.
It also helps if I order the case for the right version of Pi, so all the bolt
This
holes
is
line
true. Yeah, that is true.
up.
Or somewhere in there were actual sentences that made sense. As someone who knows way too many space acronyms, this is still, yeah.
We're talking about Pi. We're talking about Pi.
I like Pi.
I haven't had lunch yet. Don't tease me, please.
Here,
What's your
Sawyer.
favorite kind of pie, Sawyer?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah, thanks
What'd you say?
SpaceX for interrupting my lunch, because it's always the same. If I eat lunch, like there will nothing happening here on the launch site for the whole time, and as soon as like food is even remotely close to my mouth. Oh, sorry, Booster 7.
Booster 7 says, "Shut up, listen to me."
It's always a game of where is that vent coming from?
I
close at
see
the top.
truck has it, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. It's that
Yep.
one. And those are the ones that stick straight out at the side that are sort of at the end of the booster. They have that long lever arm against the center of mass. And they seem to go in roughly the 4 cardinal directions. Like, you know, you could pitch up and down and you could yaw back and forth using 4 thrusters in that orientation. If I was building it in Kerbal, I would put thrusters there pointing out to the side. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's the perfect illustration there of how that'll work too, where you can actually physically see the venting coming out of that.
I really feel like we should have like a NSF team plays Kerbal Space Program 2 multiplayer stream at some point.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like that might be very fun.
I've done that before with some friends where they weren't it wasn't multiplayer, but they were all playing their own copy, and we did like a race to the moon. The fun part was none of them had ever played Kerbal before, and I was like mission control, giving them advice on what to do. That was a good time.
Oh,
that's fun. Like I played it with my brother before when we made like really like when you get into these kind of Kerbal missions that are so complicated that you tend to forget stuff. Like I don't know, people missions to Duna and back with like multiple stagings and multiple rockets, and like he was checking the checklist of things we wrote down we need to check, which was really cool. I really liked that.
Yeah, years ago I had when I was teaching kids at the Challenger Centers for Space Science Education, I actually designed a full SLS in Kerbal and had the kids build it and taught them how to build it, what each part does, that kind of thing. So it's, yeah, fun seeing new people play Kerbal.
Yeah, it really
relating
is.
it to real-life spaceflight.
Yep. We've done a lot of outreach at museums. Like we'll set up computers and let the kids and their families come through. And we had a bunch of scenarios like launch a rocket, drive a rover, and the kids would sit down and crash the rover a few times while we explained what the game was to the parents. So it's always a good time. It's a lot of fun.
I wonder, what's your most painful Kerbal experience? Like, what was your moment where you really... because I had this moment where I had, like, a rover mission, which I set up for, like, multiple hours, and it successfully touched down on Duna, and then I flipped it, like, 20 seconds in. And I was like... And I don't play with reload. Like, I always play without reload. And I was very frustrated at that point.
I've played a lot.
Before I answer that really
Kerbal.
quick,
Yeah.
we do have a second sheriff's vehicle at the roadblock as well that just pulled up.
Uh-huh.
Just making a note of that.
Yeah, that one looks like one of the SpaceX private security guys. They've got they've got like pickups and stuff like that, and they're different than the sheriff's vehicles. But usually there's a sheriff's vehicle and there's a SpaceX representative, like security representative there. And we just saw the sheriff for a little while, and they're all out having a powwow now, it looks like. Interesting.
I mean, you also have to, as from a perspective of SpaceX, as soon as this road and pad opens, you have to be sure that you are also, basically your checkpoints at the launch site are also closed, right? Because you don't want to have like a person driving first and just going into the pad. Like, you need to check these points as well.
Exactly. That's all the different safety perimeters that are set up. All right. Here's a question from Mark, kind of along these lines of, why do they detank between static fires?
Oh, yeah. Well, Alex, you want to take that or should I take it?
Take it away.
Okay. Well, there's the situation. If the problem is we don't have insight into the running flow, but the speculation is based on the fact how we know it works for Falcon 9, that this rocket needs a very specific temperature and a very specific pressure to work. And it's not, since they work with cryogenics, it's not like they can hold forever and it just be fine. At some point, the fuels will start to boil and leave the temperature range they want to. So what if it's comparable to Falcon 9? They just, as soon as they start fueling and as soon as they go onto the flow, they are kind of locked into a certain window where they can reach that particular condition. And if they don't reach it, they kind of just miss out and they need to retry with the whole conditioning again. Because you cannot just cool down the vehicle from the inside. You would need to detank then and fuel it up with another batch of cold liquids. So you reach the desired temperature and pressure. So that's the speculation, I would label it.
It makes sense, especially, we all hope for that quick turnaround, but it's making sure you have everything correct and safe for the vehicle. And at the same time, it also, I don't think, hurts as you're still testing all of your procedures, that you just get more and more experience with, retanking and all the fuel loading procedures and cryo and everything. So kind of along the lines of what we're looking at right now, Andrew Elliott asks, if they've successfully static fired and recondensed the prop, what is the venting when they do those nominal depresses?
Well, it should be gas, right? Like, it should be. The problem is, at some point, you can probably not drain all of it anymore, and gas will also, like, the gas will probably raise to the top as well, right? So I would imagine that at some point you cannot just only recondense everything, because at some point you have boil off. So you need to just open it and leave the rest out. That's what I would imagine here.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, you get you try and save as much as you can. Obviously, you're not going to be able to recondense everything. So whatever's left, you can vent that out. And also, again, just keeping the vehicle cleared out so that once you do get people back out there, things that need to be, inerted or at least close to it can be, and made safe for the crews to now go out and see the aftermath of this fantastic static fire, which, if you are just joining us, we had a successful static fire at about 12:51 p.m. Central Time from Starbase. Booster 7, we got confirmation from Elon that it was a 14-engine static fire. And from what we saw, everything seemed to look really, really good. And if you missed any of it, we have our multi-view video quick edit already up, and the link to that is in the pinned comment at the top of chat. So lots of good stuff still going. All right, let's see if we have any other questions we can take a look at right now. Let's see. Martin asking here, would they do a static fire with a full stack? I believe some of the NASA documents that we saw come out earlier seems like maybe not, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah. According to the NASA document, they will perform unstacked 33 engine static fires. So, yeah. No static fire with the ship on top, as of NASA document indication.
At least for that 33 engine static fire test that we're all waiting. I think I mentioned before that I wouldn't be surprised if later on, like after they already have done once, maybe they try it again with full stack configuration, and after doing like a complete countdown sequence or something like that, that could be, not out of the question. But the first one, at least, we know it's going to be without the ship on top.
Right. So it seems like at this point, all of their major objectives have been accomplished at this point after that successful 14-engine static fire. Everything sounded great and looked great. They've been doing all of the depressurization since then. And yeah, it looks like they're starting to slow down. But of course, we are not slowing down here with our 24/7 coverage of Starbase. So there will be more to see, but for now, I think we can thank everyone that was here for us covering this fantastic static fire. So Adrian, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, and also shoutouts and thanks to our chat mods for being here all stream.
All stream.
All stream, yes. Thank you, Alex, as well.
Always a pleasure.
And Das, thank you for all of your button pressing behind the scenes.
Hey, no problem. Always a good time.
And Nick, thank you for your fantastic photos and everything as well, coming in from the field, and your commentary.
My pleasure.
Yep, we also had Kevin behind the scenes helping us with the button pushing too. So yeah, and all the people that were here earlier as well on stream. Basically appreciate everyone that's been here. So thank you all for watching and for your support. But as we mentioned, the coverage of everything at Starbase does not end with this stream. We are now going to send you over to Starbase Live, where we have our 24/7 coverage of everything going on at Starbase. So thank you everyone for watching.